And our thoughts and best wishes go to all families affected by those tragic events with the floods and earthquakes in Morocco and Libya. It's a full house at Old Trafford. Well, it always is, isn't it? 75,000 expectant spectators, including the Brighton fans in the southeast corner to our right-hand side, because they've got a bit of the hex over Manchester United. Brighton, they've won their last 3 games against Manchester United, home and away, including that win here at the start of last season. And Brighton get us underway with Danny Welbeck, the former United striker, rolling the ball back. Brighton in their traditional first choice colours, the blue and white stripes, blue shorts and socks. They're kicking from right to left as we look in the south stand, so they're heading for the Stretford end in the first period. Manchester United, the home side, in their first choice colours, red shirts, white shorts, black socks, heading for the east stand to our right. Lamptey wins the ball off Dalot, and it is indeed, as Perry Groves was saying before kick-off, a 4-2-3-1, but Lamptey playing in an unfamiliar left-back position today. His first Premier League start, Perry, since March.
Yes, it's going to be difficult for Tariq Lamptey. He said there he's naturally a right-back, so he'll play it on this left-hand side. Just had a little confrontation there with Diogo Dalot. Just made sure that he was quick and snappy to the ball. Just looking at Manchester United, Dance. Obviously, Højlund will play up front. Bruno Fernandes will probably have that little free roll as a 10. It looks like it will be Casemiro. It will be the holding midfield player, and Christian Eriksen and Scott McTominay just in front of him.
Free kick to Manchester United, level with the edge of their own penalty area. Lindelof rolls it back to Andre Onana. We've played a minute on Talksport 2 at Old Trafford. Thanks for your company this Saturday afternoon. We'll keep you in touch with goals elsewhere. Earlier today, Liverpool won by 3-1 at Wolves. Rangers 2-0 winners at St Johnstone in the Scottish Premiership.
They looked quite fit, didn't they, the last 10 minutes, Liverpool?
Funny that.
Not a lot of fatigue, was there?
I think you might be bringing that up on the Sunday session tomorrow on Talksport with that Sam Matterface. You little stirrer.
That would be your first question, wouldn't it, to Jurgen Klopp in the press conference? Thought it looked really lively last 10 minutes.
Let's see whether Sam asked it. Manchester United coming forward for the first time this afternoon at 0-0. Dalot feeds the ball infield to Rashford. The ball bounces off his thigh, and that allows Dahoud to get a foot in, but Rashford's won it back, tries to tiptoe through a couple of Brighton shirts, deflects away from him, and strong work on the left-hand side for Manchester United, and they've won it back. A good strong run down the left-hand side from Reguilon, and he's won a corner for Manchester United at the East Stand end, 0-0.
Yeah, really intense, aggressive play there from Reguilon.
They're taking the corner short, but it's not worked out for Manchester United, and Kaoru Mitoma can bring the ball clear for Brighton Hove Albion. And Mitoma's got no real support. He's tackled by Dalot on halfway, goes to ground, snapping challenge from Lamptey. He's really cleaned out Diogo Dalot, who's done about 4 rolls to stay on the pitch. The referee said play on, and it's still 0-0 on Talksport 2.
A few really lively challenges. We said Tariq Lamptey had a crunching challenge in the first minute on Diogo Dalot, and he's actually just followed that up, and I think obviously he was a little bit late, but Dalot, as you said there, Dan, did about 5 forward rolls, and basically what that means is you're not hurt that much.
No, indeed. He's just on the touchline, and Jarrod Gillett's going to have a word with Tariq Lamptey. He was just getting some instructions from Roberto De Zerbi, and a yellow card for Tariq Lamptey. So barely 3 minutes on the watch here at Old Trafford, and we have our first yellow card, and it's gone to the Brighton left back today, Tariq Lamptey. Preston lead Plymouth. First goal of the afternoon, and the 3 o'clocks goes in at Deepdale. Dwayne Holmes, former Derby midfielder, makes it Preston 1, Plymouth 0. Preston were top before Leicester won at Southampton last night, live on Talksport 2. So it's a free kick, but Manchester United have given the ball away. It's back with the 2 centre-halves for Brighton. Lewis Dunk, who impressed for England in midweek against Scotland, rolls it back to Jason Steele. Steele with a very calm pass outside of his area to Pascal Gross, and now Joel Veltman will scamper down the right-hand side, the far side of the field from us for Brighton. Tries to work the ball in field to Adingra, but Man United win possession back, and it's with Lisandro Martinez, who just takes the game down to walking pace. Plays it there to Reguilon, has been involved very early on down that left-hand side on his Manchester United debut. Perry Groves.
Yeah, just looking at the role of Christian Eriksen. So he's just over on that left-hand side with Reguilon, but it looks like he's been given the freedom just to drift, see if he can get himself on the ball. So there, Casemiro at the base of the midfield. Man United trying to play at the back with the ball at Onana's feet, and Brighton just going man for man with a high press to stop them playing.
4 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 0. Onana clears right-footed, the United goalkeeper, down the left-hand side. Van Heck wins the header ahead of Rashford, but it still drops for Reguilon. Rashford again, left-hand side, midway point of the Brighton half, and he's got Adingra for company. Just rolls it back to McTominay, who ticks it in field for Casemiro. Tried a little flick down the left-hand side of the area to get Reguilon in behind. Reguilon's found Rashford. Rashford makes a lovely run into the box. Can he pull it back for Højlund? He tried to go for goal himself at the near post, and it was blocked by the feet of Jason Steele, and Brighton clear their lines, 0-0.
Brilliant play from Man United on their left-hand side. That man Reguilon involved again. Just put it out to Marcus Rashford. Just happy feet, just a couple of foot overs like Malcolm Flatley in the river dance, and got himself back on his right foot. Couldn't quite get the right purchase on it in the end. It was a good save from Jason Steele with his right foot at his near post. Good
start from Manchester United, and they've won a free kick as Reguilon's been caught by Simon Adingra. So it's a free kick to Manchester United, midway point of the Brighton half, but way out to the left of centre. 10 yards in for the touchdown on the far side. Swindon 1, Walsall 0 in League 2. Charlie Austin gets the opener for Swindon, starting the day in 5th in League 2. So a couple of United players standing over the free kick, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes. Brighton holding their line way outside their 18-yard line, almost at the edge of the D, really, where their defensive line is. Sandro Martinez in an offside position, but it's taken short to Fernandes. He floats the ball into the box. Højlund gets his head on it, but still allows it to go over his head, knowing it was going to drop on the roof of the net. Goal kick, Brighton 0-0 on Talksport 2.
Yeah, just Eriksen and Fernandes just trying to change the angle. Eriksen just touching it, Fernandes just drifting it into the penalty area. A little bit too floated, I think, Dance, wasn't it, from Fernandes. Højlund winning the head up, getting himself underneath it, just goes over Jason Steele's crossbar.
Van Heck plays the ball out to Veltman, who's all-purpose for Brighton, can play in a number of different positions. Giving the ball away though, Brighton. Bruno Fernandes, centre of the Brighton half, rolls it to his immediate right for Casemiro. Casemiro tried to get Dalot in behind. The ball ricocheted in field, and Bruno Fernandes just tried a pot shot from 25 yards that smacked into the chest of a Brighton player, and it rebounded that far. It went midway inside the Manchester United half of the field, 0-0.
Yeah, I think it was Lewis Dunk making himself nice and big, Dance, and made sure that he had his arms down by his side, so he wasn't in an unnatural position. Just earlier than that, Mitoma did brilliantly, because Dalot looked like he was going to be free on this right-hand side. Little through ball attempt from Bruno Fernandes. Mitoma made sure that he went with a run and ended up cutting the ball out.
Good turn on halfway from Marcus Rashford for Manchester United, darting down the far left-hand side. Reguilon's there in support. Veltman sticks his foot in, puts it out of play for a Manchester United throw that's taken quickly by Reguilon. Seeing the ball again down the left-hand side. Swings across in looking for Højlund, and what a calm chest back from Lewis Dunk to his goalkeeper, Jason Steele. That's a man playing in complete confidence in his own ability in Lewis Dunk, 0-0.
That's the second time he's hit him in the chest, Dance. When the first one, he chested it to the halfway line with a defensive block there. He's just cushioning it back to Jason Steele. Just looking at Rasmus Højlund there. When the ball's coming from Reguilon on that left-hand side, you want your centre-forward making that darting run across the near post to get across the centre-halves, and he just stayed central.
Yeah, Højlund, 72 million quid from Atalanta, made his debut as a substitute against Arsenal. Looked lively. You saw it yourself, Perry, for half an hour. That he put himself about pretty well at the Emirates. Here come Brighton with Tariq Lamptey on this left-hand side, darting forward. McTominay trying to track the run. Lamptey tries to work the ball in field to Welbeck, goes beyond Lallana, and the other number 14, Eriksen, puts in a lovely pirouette and starts a Manchester United counter. Fernandes feeds Rashford down the left-hand side. Højlund waiting for a cross, goes in near post, and it just evades him. Great football from Manchester United, and they've won it back the right-hand corner of the box, but Fernandes ends up showing too much of that to Lallana. But a sweeping counter-attack, and Rashford almost found Højlund with a cross.
It's aggressive, intense football from Manchester United. They said there it was a brilliant spin from Christian Eriksen, a full 360, He just laid the ball into Fernandez. Brilliant ball outside his right foot, dance with it from Fernandez. Released Marcus Rashford. He got it onto his left foot, got himself in the corner of the 18-yard box, whipped it across, and Højlund did make that run across the near post. Couldn't quite get his right foot to it, but Manchester United have started very, very aggressively here at Old Trafford.
But here come Brighton. Simon Adingra down the right-hand side. He's got space. Two to aim at in the area. Pulls it back all the way to the far post. Mitoma brings it down. Can't get the shot away. Lays it back to Lamptey. Back down the left-hand side of the area for Lallana. He gives it back to Lamptey. He's going to go for goal and snatches at the shot horribly. And it goes well wide for a Manchester United goal kick. 9 gone on Talksport 2, 0-0.
Well, Lamptey's lamped it there, Dance, but it should have been Mitoma who actually got his shot away, because it was a good break from Brighton down their right-hand side from Adingra. He got his head up, just crossed the ball to the far post, and Mitoma took his touch, and he had a chance as it set up to volley it, and decided to cut back inside on his right foot. In the end, the shot got blocked. Goal kick for Manchester United. 0-0
here on Talksport 2. Hibs lead by a goal to nil at Kilmarnock in the Scottish Premiership. And Manchester United send the ball forward. Eriksen's made a run forward, taking Veltman with him. Veltman trying to protect the ball and win it back. Rashford picks up the seconds and moves infield to the centre of the Brighton half. Options left and right for Rashford. Just lays it off back into the centre circle for Lindelof. Gives it back to Rashford, still in the centre of the Brighton half. Again, lovely quick feet from the England star. Good ball out to the left. Reguilon pulls it back to Rashford. Takes the touch, fires it goals, and it's blocked by Dunk, who's put his body in the way of the ball several times for Brighton. Flag goes up for offside in the end anyway. But Marcus Rashford looks up for it this afternoon, and Lewis Dunk, his England colleague, is doing all he can to repel him. 0-0.
Dance, Marcus Rashford's feet are so clean you could eat your dinner off them. Honestly, he's had a couple of dancing moves, and he had a pirouette, he's had a foot over, he's dragged it back. He said there, just released it out to Christian Eriksen on the left-hand side, and it come back to Rashford, got on his right foot. It looked like he was going to bury it in the bottom of Steele's near post, and to be fair again, it's Lewis Dunk who's put his body on the line, just slid in and blocked it with his right foot.
Dunk gives it back to Steele. Gillingham 1, Morecambe 0 in League 2. That'll probably stay like that, because that's what Gillingham do. George Lapsley with the goal for the Gills. 0-0 here at Old Trafford. Brighton coming forward. Lovely diagonal pass from the goalkeeper Steele to Vine Veltman. And now Pascal Gross, who's a defensive midfielder these days for Brighton. He's played all round the midfield and even up front at times, but part of that two-man defensive unit in front of the back four.
Do you want my inane stat of the day?
Oh, I love your inane stats, Perry, you know I do.
Say Gillingham 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Well, they've won 5 1-0 this season, haven't they?
Yeah.
Since Neil Harris took over, February 2022, Gillingham have had 14 1-0 wins, the most.
1-0 to the Gillingham. Spirit of George Graham being evoked.
There's a certain ring to it.
It does, doesn't it? Now here's Højlund for Manchester United at 0-0. Finds his captain Fernandez. Ball ricochets into the path of Eriksen down the inside left channel. Adingra trying to get back at him, and toe pokes it out of play for a Manchester United throw, level with the Brighton penalty area down that left-hand side, with Manchester United attacking the east stand away to our right in this first half. 0-0. Ian Danter and Perry Groves with you on Talksport 2. Exclusive commentary. Reguilon on his debut. Good ball into the box, headed clear by Dahu and brought away by Adam Lallana. And only man ahead of him is Kaoru Mitoma in a blue and white striped shirt. But here is the Japanese, making Dalot backpedal a little. Rolls it in field to Lallana. Just couldn't take the ball in his stride. And Martinez could pick it up for Manchester United and bring it clear. As Bruno Fernandes fires the ball downfield looking for Rashford. And Lewis Dunk gets his head to the ball. And Jason Steele comes outside of his area in a very calm pass into Lamptey. Would you believe it? Morecambe have equalised at Gillingham. It's 1-1. Michael Mellon equalises at the Priestfield.
That's that stat gone then.
Absolutely blitzed that stat. Never mind.
Only gave me, was it 2.5 minutes?
Yeah. Think of all the work you put into that stat as well. Never mind. 0-0 here at Old Trafford with 13 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Manchester United have really, well, enjoyed the lion's share of the possession and the dangerous chances in this opening period. But Brighton do look menacing on the counter when they get the chance, Perry Groves.
Especially out on this left-hand side. Obviously it's Mitoma up against Dalot. He's had a few 1v1s. He decided to cut inside, or I'd like to see him go on the outside. But at the moment, Brighton can't quite get to grips with Manchester United's formation, because I said before, it's Casemiro who is like the deepest midfield player. Eriksen's got the licence to roam. Scott McTominay is normally just playing on this right-hand side. Fernandes is the 10. Marcus Rashford has now come over to this right-hand side as well. So it's very fluid from Manchester United, and they're just overloading that midfield area.
So Brighton have been very patient at the moment, and they've rolled the ball back to goalkeeper Jason Steele. Hearts 1, Aberdeen 0 in Scotland in the Premiership. Mahmoud Dahoud, once of Borussia Dortmund, rolls the ball out to this near side of the left, and Lamptey, who's collected the ball just next to the Brighton technical area where Roberto De Zerbi is barking out instructions. It was noticeable that De Zerbi's part of the warm-up routine pre-match for Brighton, and he really keeps a close watch on all his players. Crossfield pass looking for Adingra, good header cleared by Reguilon, but Veltman heads it down trying to get Adingra in behind, but that was just ahead of the Ivorian. And Manchester United playing around with the ball a bit. Lindelof almost gave it away inside his own box. Him and Onana got in a terrible muddle, but they managed to smuggle the ball clear, 0-0.
Dan, so I've got no dog in the fight here, right? But Lindelof actually made me feel nervous when he got the ball there from Onana, because he hasn't got himself side on. He's got his back to play. He didn't know what was behind him, so then he rolled it back to Onana, and he rolled it too softly. And then it looked like Brighton were going to get the ball back with a high press. And luckily, as Onana played the ball out, he went to go back to Lindelof, missed Lindelof, and went into Eriksen. So Onana, obviously we know he likes to play out from the back, but it just looks like that De Zerbi said to his Brighton team, let Onana have the ball, we make sure we get back into our shape, and then we'll go and press. We don't want him bypassing our midfield.
Ball to Perry Groves alongside me, Ian Dancer at Old Trafford here on Talksport 2. Manchester United 0, Brighton 0. McTominay tried to release Højlund through the centre, having won the ball just inside the Brighton half, but Højlund went one way and the ball went the other. Fleetwood 0, Oxford 1. Stanley Mills, son of our own Danny Mills, has put Oxford ahead at Highbury. Fleetwood under new management in Lee Johnson. And Wycombe 1, Blackpool 0 in the same division. Sam Vokes, who's just arrived at Wycombe. Now Lamptey for Brighton down the left-hand side. Rise the challenge of Casemiro, but couldn't beat Dalot. And the ball's dropped for Christian Eriksen, who finds Lisandro Martinez, who under pressure from Welbeck hooks the ball clear from inside his own penalty area, brought down brilliantly by Reguilon. What a debut he's having in a Manchester United shirt. Rashford now inside right for the home side, faced up by Lamptey, rolls the ball into the area. Højlund's pulled across to the right. His first touch allowed Van Hecke to win the ball back for Brighton Hove Albion. Now Mitoma just passes the ball to the invisible man and it goes out of play. 0-0 the score.
There's a bit of an experience there from Rasmus Højlund, because when the ball's played into him, Dance, he's got to make sure that he gets his body in between the ball and Lewis Dunk, and he just opened himself up. He was square on, missed the ball completely.
Again, Reguilon is pushing forward down the left-hand side, and they tried to slide him in, but Adingra was wise to it and came back from his right-sided midfield position for Brighton and put enough into the challenge to put off Reguilon. The ball's rolled through to Steele. 0-0.
We're just coming up to 17.5 minutes played, and even though Man United are playing a back four, Reguilon in this first set, basically he's been a left wing back, Dance, isn't he? He's been the furthest man forward on that left hand side, and that enables Marcus Rashford just to drift in a little bit.
Queen's Park Rangers 1, Sunderland 0 in the Championship. Kenneth Powell for QPR won their first game in 4 last time out after what's been a difficult start to the season. 0-0 here at Old Trafford if you're just tuning in to Game Day exclusive on Talksport 2. Manchester United keeping possession with Lisandro Martinez inside his own half at the moment. Looks up and plays a ball backwards of square to Lindelof. Still no Varane, who must be getting close to fitness for Manchester United. Harry Maguire amongst the substitutes today for Erik ten Hag. Dunk gets a touch on halfway from a floated pass up from the back by Lindelof. Casemiro, first on ball fired out to the left hand side looking for Rashford, but he's overclubbed it and it's going to be a Brighton throw. What do you think Roberto De Zerbi will have made of these opening 18 minutes from a Brighton point of view, Perry Groves?
Well, he'll be pleased that it's still 0-0, because you have to say it's been sort of relentless pressure, isn't it, from Manchester United. A couple of times Brighton have hit Man United on the counter-attack where they've got down the right-hand side. Adingra was a really good cross to Mitoma. They've broke on Mitoma, and Mitoma's final pass has let him down. So De Zerbi will want his team just to settle into the game, but at the moment Manchester United haven't allowed them to do that.
Dunk in possession for Brighton. Coming short is Pascal Gross. Dunk at the edge of his own penalty area, being pressurised by Højlund. Gets the ball back to Steele. Steele fires the ball back into the feet of Gross, who controlled it really well, and finds Veltman out on the right-hand side, still inside his own half.
Down to not, in fact, that is nerves of Steele, isn't it, from Jason Steele there, because he's under immense pressure. He just takes that extra touch. You think he's going to get closed down. He just pings it into Pascal Gross, who's on the half turn, and Brighton retain possession from a position where they look like they're bang under pressure.
Veltman looking for Welbeck. Welbeck plays the ball out to the right wing. Adingra gets there. First line cross. Lallana dummies. Welbeck fires it in. The former Manchester United man scores at Old Trafford to put Brighton ahead. They've been under pressure for this opening 19 minutes, and then Brighton come down the right. Lovely dummy from Lallana from Adingra's first time cross, and Welbeck smashed it in against his old club. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1.
What a brilliant breakaway goal from Brighton. It started off at Jason Steele, the goalkeeper. Brighton made their way up the right hand side. Ball comes to Adingra, and you're thinking, can you pick out the pass dance? Have you got the quality? 100% he has, because he rolls it into Adam Lallana, who makes that break into the box. Lallana dummies it, and it comes to Danny Welbeck, and that's a really cool finish dance, because Danny Welbeck just lets it roll across his body, opens his body out with his left foot. He places it beyond Onana. That is such a fantastic team goal, the highest quality from Brighton. Every single decision was the right one, starting from Jason Steele. Then 7 passes later, it ends up in the back of Manchester United's net. Fantastic goal from Brighton. Excellent play from Danny Welbeck. Brighton go 1-0 up against the run of play.
They're at it again. Brighton Hove Albion against Manchester United, and this time it's the law of the X. Danny Welbeck made nearly 150 appearances for Manchester United. Now he's back here as one of the elder statesmen of Brighton and Hove Albion. 32 years of age now, Danny, and he's just given the Seagulls the lead. And the rolling ball meant that Manchester United couldn't take the quick free kick they wanted to. MK Dons 0, Stockport County 1. Louis Barry for Stockport, that's down in League 2. Huddersfield lead Rotherham by a goal to 0 in the Championship. Neil Warnock against one of his old sides, and Josh Corrimer has given Huddersfield the lead at the John Smiths. You're up to date on Talksport 2, where you're listening to Manchester United 0, Brighton 1 on Talksport 2 with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Newcastle versus Brentford, live today for £11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports for all the deets. Perry Groves.
Dance, we said about Jason still had nerves of steel, and that's where the Brighton goal started from, wasn't it? When he pinged it into Pascal Gross, and Brighton kept position. Pascal Gross was involved.
Crossing for the left-hand side for United, and dunks there again with McTominay, who was furthest forward, but it has gone behind for a Manchester United corner at the East Stand end. 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, good defensive header from Lewis Dunk. Just make sure that he holds his position, centre of the 6-yard box, heads the ball out. Fernandez will just go over on that left-hand side for Man United and whip it in with his right foot.
So Fernandez to take the corner where the Sir Alex Ferguson stand meets the East Stand to our right-hand side. Plays it short to the left-hand corner of the box, and Rashford. He gives it back to Fernandez. Plays a ball into the near post, and Welbeck's back there defending to head it clear. Back out to Fernandez. And then Fernandez and Eriksson getting a bit of a muddle, and the ball just trickles behind for a goal kick to Brighton, who lead by a goal to 0 at the midway point of the first half here on Talksport 2. Lincoln 0, Carlisle 1 in League 1. Carlisle, who have only got one league win to their name so far. Luke Blanchard's given them the lead. Yellow card for Jan-Paul van Hekke for time wasting from Jared Gillett. Puts his hands on top of his head. He can't believe that that's been given against him. Just giving you other scorelines that are coming. Reading 0, Bolton 1. Dion Charles for Bolton. More points deducted for Reading this week for failing to comply with financial issues. Barnsley 1, Burton 0 elsewhere in League 1. Devante Cole gets another one. That's 7 for the season for Devante Cole. And Tranmere, under new management of Nigel Adkins, I nearly said Nigel Adderley then, not quite Nigel. Crawley 0, Tranmere 1, Charlie Jolly. Now here come Brighton again. They're a goal up, and Adingra, who's supplied the cross for the first in possession down the right-hand side, being jockeyed by Lisandro Martinez. So he passes infield for Pascal Gross. Gross finds Welbeck. Dahoud fires the ball out, intending to find Mitoma on the left, but Manchester United get it clear, but only temporarily, and it's tidied up by Dunk and back to his goalkeeper, Jason Steele. 1-0 to Brighton. Wrexham lead Grimsby by a similar score on Ollie Palmer at the racecourse ground. Makes it Wrexham 1, Grimsby 0.
You have to say, Dance, the Brighton goal was against the run of play.
Oh, totally.
Because Manchester United were on the front foot. But it was just pure quality from Brighton. That's the 16th away game they've scored on the trot in the Premier League. I think that equals their club record.
I think they've scored in 32 of their last 33 Premier League matches. Only a game at Fulham back in February was the one blot on their copybook. And they've scored again and they lead at Old Trafford. But here come Manchester United. Dalot down the right hand side, 10 yards from the dead ball line, skips past Mitoma, pulls it back to Rashford, shot into a crowd of Brighton bodies, and one of them blocked it away. Rashford must have felt, oh, this is going on target, but it was blocked around 12 yards out by, I think, Van Hecke. 1-0 Brighton.
There's brilliant play on the right hand side from Dalot. Just manipulates the ball, gives a see you later to Mitoma, goes inside, goes outside, just picks out Marcus Rashford. And in the end, Dance, I think it was a combination of Van Hecke and Dahoud who actually got like the block on a sort of mini two-man wall. Just looking at Manchester United, they've actually brought Marcus Rashford in off that left-hand side, so basically they're playing two up front, just to play a little bit closer to Rasmus Højlund.
Dalot finds Rashford, chests the ball down, 30 yards out. Welbeck comes to close him down. Rashford tries to shoot at goal again from the edge of the D. It's blocked once more by Van Hecke. Eriksson retrieves the loose ball. Reguilon cuts in from the left-hand side. Rashford on the ball once more, lays it off to Lindelof. Everybody back in the defensive third of Brighton in either red or blue and white shirts. Now Martinez has to track back to the halfway line under pressure from Lallana. Gillingham have had to score 2 goals for the first time in a while. They've done it 2-1 against Morecambe. Conor Mahoney at the Priestfield Stadium.
Yeah,
Casemiro, lovely ball, finds Fernandes for Manchester United. Flicks it infield to Rashford, lets the ball run across to Eriksson at the edge of the area left-hand side. Tried to pull it back but couldn't find a red shirt, and it was cleared away by Veltman. And then Casemiro and Lindelof getting a bit of a muddle. And the Brighton goal scorer, Danny Welbeck, retrieves possession for the Seagulls. Perry Groves.
Yeah, Eriksson just didn't pick out the right pass. It was a brilliant over from Marcus Rashford, who's looked really sharp in his first 27 minutes. And Eriksson, all he should do is just whip the ball across the 6-yard box with his left foot, tries to play it back to Marcus Rashford. In the end, Van Hecke just cuts it out. Brighton a bit cute, Dance, when they're out of position. They basically go into a 4-4-1-1. And all they do, obviously they got the 2 blocks of 4, but they let Adam Lallana, he just drifts in around the centre circle, and he becomes like the spare player. And then obviously they hope to play off him and he can get it into Danny Welbeck.
1-0 to Brighton here at Old Trafford on Talksport 2. 2-0 to Oxford at Fleetwood Town. Billy Bodin with a second for Oxford, and Preston have doubled their lead against Plymouth in the Championship. Liam Miller makes it Preston 2, Plymouth 0. Balls at the back for Brighton with Lewis Dunk, who just fires it back first time to his keeper Jason Steele. Højlund comes to close down the space, and again ball fired along the deck at pace by Jason Steele, finds its intended target in Joel Veltman, who gives it back to Steele, and he spots Dunk calling for it, left hand corner of the penalty area. Dunk will now just trot forward away from his own penalty box, rolls his foot on the ball as Fernandes comes to close him down, plays it infield to Pascal Gross, who's splitting the two centre halves for the moment. Now Van Hecke will carry the ball unopposed over halfway, nobody closing him down, and he plays it out to the right wing for Joel Veltman. Veltman keeps the ball in play, 10 yards from the dead ball line. Van Hecke wants it back, midway point of the half, and he'll just tuck it infield to Dahoud, and then back to halfway, and Brighton keep possession, and they lead by a goal to 0.
Dance, that is far too easy from Man United's point of view to let Brighton get out on their right hand side, because Marcus Rashford, say, who's playing as basically a twin striker, he just jogs in centrally to get a rest, and then Van Hecke just pulls off him to his left hand side and ends up rolling down in that right hand channel. Space for
Dahoud in the centre circle. He tried to float the ball over the top to get Lallana in behind, but Lallana was caught on his heels and the ball just bounced comfortably through to Andre Onana. Manchester United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 on Talksport 2. 28 minutes played at Old Trafford. MK Dons equalise against Stockport. Mo Isa, who's in a bit of a goal scoring competition with his kid brother Abbo, and he's equalised for MK Dons against Stockport. That's 1-1. 1-0 here to Brighton, and the goal scorer, former Manchester United striker Danny Welbeck.
Isa, you said, scored with interest there.
Oh, why didn't I see that coming? Ball's back with Jason Steele once again, wearing all orange as the Brighton goalkeeper today. Short pass for Dahu. Just got away with it. There were 3 United players in and around it, but again, they found the route to play confidently and comfortably out of the back, Brighton Hove Albion.
The reason being, Dance, it's a half-hearted press, isn't it, for Manchester United? They're not going with any conviction. They're sort of three-quarter pace, and that enables Brighton just to play round them.
And here come Brighton with Simon Adingra offside as Veltman tried to play him in down the right-hand side of the United box. Roberto De Zerbi just gesticulating down beneath us, wanting a few things sorted out, tactically speaking. But he must be absolutely delighted. They were under the cosh for the first quarter of the game, and then they take the lead through Danny Welbeck. We've played half an hour here at Old Trafford, and that is the scoreline. Manchester United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Gross forced to go back into his own half, and Van Hecker will pick up the ball ahead of his goalkeeper Jason Steele. Veltman faced up by Bruno Fernandes in the right back position for Brighton, gives it back to Van Hecker, and then Pascal Gross, ice in his veins as he just trickles past a couple of attackers for Manchester United. Lamptey works it up to halfway. United win it back though. Here's Casemiro. Oh, but before he could release the pass, he had the ball taken off his toe by Danny Welbeck. Mitoma will stride forward for Brighton, carrying the ball into the Manchester United half. Adingra calling for it right hand side. Will he get it from Lallana? Not quite. Brilliant challenge from Reguilon, and then an attempted through ball from Bruno Fernandes to set Rashford away is intercepted by Veltman, but it is a Manchester United throw. 1-0 Brighton on Talksport 2.
Yeah, just Mitoma again, sloppy with his final ball. Just tries to roll it into Adam Lallana, overhits it, gives the ball away. It's really interesting.
As Casemiro passes the ball forward and wins by Brighton. 1-0 their lead. Sorry, Perry.
From Brighton's point of view, when Manchester United are trying to play at the back with Lallana, Brighton basically go man for man. And we had an instance there where Christian Eriksen's playing on Man United's left. Veltman just followed him all the way into the centre circle, and Pascal Gross found himself at right back. So they're just going man for man, and at the moment Manchester United aren't comfortable enough getting themselves out of the press.
Danny Welbeck has the ball just over the halfway line, gives it back to Dahu. 1-0 here to Brighton. Colchester 1, Mansfield 0. Joseph Taylor, it's offside. Welbeck running through the centre of the half, gets to the edge of the area and lets fly at the edge of the D. It was always rising over the bar, and Onana knew it. Goal kick to Manchester United, stays 1-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, it's unlucky from Danny Welbeck, just dropping a little bit deeper. Lindelof again didn't know whether to follow him all the way in. He lets Danny Welbeck turn, just skips inside. Lindelof gets onto his right foot. He's trying to bend it inside Onana's top left-hand post, but just got underneath it and ended up flying over the crossbar.
This is the only game of the 3 o'clocks in the Premier League that has a goal in it. All the others at Villa, Fulham, Tottenham and West Ham are currently goalless. 1-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion here at Old Trafford. What have you spotted, Perry?
Well, again, it's like Veltman, who's playing as the right back. Christian Eriksen's got that free roll. Veltman just follows him all the way in.
Yeah.
Brighton then have 3 at the back, where Lamptey just goes a bit closer to Lewis Dunk. You've got Van Hecker over on that right-hand side, and Adingra then comes back into that right-back position.
Onana passes out to Bruno Fernandes. We've played 32 minutes on Talksport 2. That forward pass is comfortably dealt with by Lewis Dunk. His ball back into the United half, though, is won by Casemiro. What a ball! Out to Rashford on the far left-hand side. Reguilon on the overlap. Rashford's cutting infield, goes for goal, and it deflects onto the angle of post and bar, and behind for a corner kick. There's a player from each side gone down inside the area who've clashed us. Rashford let that shot go, and it deflected off a Brighton leg and just caught the angle of post and bar with Steele beaten. It is, though, a Manchester United corner, and Brighton still lead by a goal to 0 on Talksport 2.
Brilliant crossfield pass from Casemiro on the half volley with his right foot. Just puts it out to Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. He cuts inside Van Hecker onto his right foot, and it's Veltman make himself nice and big. It was basically a long barrier dance, wasn't it? You normally see that shape behind a defensive wall, and I think he's just hit off his left-hand ankle, which just turned. And then Jason Steele committed himself, ended up going off the angle of the crossbar on the post.
Yeah, it was an accidental collision between Veltman and Rashford, and they've just had a little hug before the corner can be taken. Again, it's where the Sir Alex Ferguson stand meets the East Stand. Fernandez, right-footed in swinger, headed out inside the 6-yard box by Van Hecke. Mitoma trying to bring it further clear, and United pass the ball back to the halfway line. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Moussa Diaby for Aston Villa. Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 0. Middlesbrough's travails continue. Sammy Smodics for Blackburn, and AFC Wimbledon lead Crewe by a goal to 0 in League 2. Josh Nerfield for the Dons. Here's Casemiro for Manchester United, trailing Brighton by a goal to 0 here. Ericsson, centre of the Brighton half, just lays the ball off behind him to Lisandro Martinez, standing in the centre circle. Wrexham 2, Grimsby 0. Will Boyle up from the back has scored the second for Wrexham. Ball still on the halfway line with Manchester United as Lindelof and Martinez exchange passes. Martinez looks up, clips the long ball downfield. McTominay made a run through the middle, but Van Hecke dealt with the through ball comfortably enough. And then Adingra hooks the ball down for Lallana, and then Gross fires the ball up into the air looking for Mitoma to win the bits and pieces. And Lallana went down under pressure from Casemiro, thought he was foul, and indeed he was, says Jared Gillett, after a moment of consideration by the Australian referee. 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, Lallana did really well. This was Casemiro playing at the base of the midfield, just took a touch, and Lallana just picked his pocket. And I don't know why, probably Jared Gillett was waiting to see if Brighton could regain possession. He thought it might come out to Mitoma, just took his time, and quite rightly ended up giving the free kick.
Earlier today, Liverpool won 3-1 at Wolves. Rangers won 2-0 at St Johnstone. That'll put Ali McCoist in a happy mood when he looks after breakfast on Talksport on Monday morning with Andy Townsend. Always a great way to wake up in the morning. Get Talksport breakfast on from 6 a.m. Lots of great guests joining the boys before White and Jordan with their show at 10 a.m. And Martin O'Neill will be alongside White and Jordan from 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Now Mitoma for Brighton wins a throw. As he know, it stayed in play. It almost rolled out of play. Everyone stopped apart from Diogo Dalot, and then a foul on Højlund gives Manchester United a free kick, which they've taken quickly, trying to release Marcus Rashford. Steele comes outside of his own penalty area, keeps it in play and fires it downfield. Didn't just hoof it into no man's land, put it up to the halfway line. Oh, here's a big goal. West Ham 1, Manchester City 0. James Ward-Prowse. I wonder if that's a free kick. But that has put the cat amongst the pigeons. So both Manchester clubs are behind by a goal to 0. City 1-0 down at West Ham. United 1-0 down here, live on Talksport 2 at Old Trafford to Brighton Hove Albion.
I think one of the signings of the transfer window, James Ward-Prowse.
I'm amazed that West Ham seem to be the only club that were genuinely interested in him.
That's him involved in a goal in his last 6 games. 3 goals, 4 assists.
A couple of quick goals at the London Road. Peterborough 1, Leyton Orient 1. Forest Green 0, Doncaster 1, Harrison Biggins. And Stevenage 1, Charlton 0. The leaders of League One ahead through Jamie Reid. Back here at Old Trafford. We've got 8 minutes to half time, plus whatever Jared Gillett wants to add on for injury time at the end of the first period. Brighton a goal up and in possession with Simon Adingra. And even though they're 1-0 up, Roberto De Zerbi's like a jumping jack just down beneath us. Not happy with, I think, the slow tempo of Brighton's build-up, Perry Groves.
Exactly. I think he wants them to take like 1 and 2 touch. Even then, when Pascal Groves is on the ball, Brighton have 6 players in front of the ball. Normally, you maybe have 2 or 3 at the most when you're away from home at Old Trafford. And all they do, they just keep asking you questions all the time.
Well, it's currently Manchester United 0, Brighton 1. For the latest odds, you can head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2, Eden, our Premier League coverage.
Easy for you to say.
Well, I know. Well, right now you can get Manchester United to win from this position at 11-5. Brighton to win. They are 1-0 up. To win the game, Brighton are 11-10 at this point, and the draw is priced at 13-5. That's all thanks to William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18+. BeGambleAware.org is the website. Brighton in possession with Gross. Lovely ball into the centre circle. Welbeck had space to collect and size up his next move. And works it back to the 2 centre-halves, Van Hecke and then Dunk. Dunk looks early for Mitoma, who's peeled his run. Onside down the left-hand side of the area. Not much for company. Plays it across the face of goal, and it's cleared away by Reguilon. Kept in play on this near side by Tariq Lamptey for Brighton Hove Albion. He rolls it back 10 yards or so for Lewis Dunk. Dunk will go back into his own half for Van Hecke. and then turned round the corner very calmly by Pascal Gross for Joel Veltman. 1-0 Brighton lead.
Marcus Rashford has just waved his arms in frustration because he's come to close the ball down. He's looked round and his midfielder 15-20 yards away from him. He's quite right. Man United should be a little bit further up the pitch. Just earlier, brilliant ball from Lewis Dunk, just put it into the left-hand channel for Mitoma. Outside of his right foot, he's tried to whip it along the 6-yard box. Brilliant defensive play from Martinez because he made sure that he just occupied that space.
But that's the sort of ball that is the sort of thing that delighted Roberto De Zerbi when he discovered what Lewis Dunk could do with the ball. Now here come Brighton again. It's a dingerer down the right-hand side into the area, overruns it and allows Reguilon just to ease the ball off him and bring it clear for Manchester United. Brighton still lead 1-0. Here comes McTominay over the halfway line. Good pace from the Scot. Rashford further on his outside. Only Højlund in the area at the moment. Rashford gets down the left-hand side of the box. More step-overs. Tries to pull it back. He finds Højlund, who equalises! On his first start, Rasmus Højlund starts to repay the £72 million invested in him by Manchester United, and he brings the home side level 5 minutes from the break. But it's all thanks to the brilliant approach play and quick feet of Marcus Rashford. Put it on a plate for Højlund, 5 yards out, and he couldn't miss. Manchester United won, Brighton Hove Albion won.
Dance, it was happy feet from both of Manchester United centre forwards. Just build up play down Manchester United left hand side, just releasing Marcus Rashford. He's 1v1 with Van Hecke, goes to go inside, little foot over, goes on the outside, gets the byline. Van Hecke.
Oh no, is the ball out of play?
The ball is out of play.
Well, VAR will take a look at whether the ball had crossed the dead ball line completely before. I think it might still just be a oh no,
no, it's out of play, Dance.
It could well be ruled out, this, because they're checking to see whether, as Rashford crossed the ball with his left foot, was the ball out of play. It's marginal. It is so close. Now that the angle we're looking at suggests that the whole ball is indeed clear of the markings and therefore would not be given.
Well, the angle we've looked at, you can actually see the grass between the ball and the touchline. And it was brilliant play. Actually, to be fair to Van Hecke, he got up straight away and said to Jarrod Gillett that the ball was out of play.
They're still looking at the freeze frame. And this may well take a little while for VAR to sort out back at Stockley Park. Jarrod Gillett waits, finger in his ear. Chris Kavanagh is the VAR this afternoon down at Stockley Park, and we wait the decision. But it looks like the ball's out of play, and this is taking an eternity, and VAR does indeed rule the goal out, and it's the Brighton fans you can now hear cheering. Forget what I said about Højlund getting a goal on his first start. It's been ruled out. VAR means it's still Manchester United 0, Brighton 1.
It was brilliant play from both Man United centre forwards. Rashford putting Van Hecke on the deck. Unfortunately, Man United, the ball's rolled out of play, but it was really quick feet from Rasmus Højlund as well, because he let the ball roll across his body, took a touch, and then just rolled it down to Jason Seal's left-hand side. Why did that? I don't understand why that took so long, because the angle that we were given, you could actually see the grass, couldn't you, between the touchline and the ball.
Maybe we'll find out one of these days. Maybe the next time Harold Webb's on the telly, we'll find out. Now Mitoma trying to dispossess Lindelof, who stayed on the ground and did brilliantly to retrieve possession for Manchester United. So Brighton still lead by a goal to 0, but we're in the last 2 minutes of normal time in this first half on Talksport 2. McTominay finds Bruno Fernandes, right-hand side. Thought about an early cross from deep, but rolls it back to Lindelof. Eriksson now picks the ball up, centre of the Brighton half. Rashford then lays it back to Lisandro Martinez. AFC Wimbledon 2-0 up against Crewe Alexandra. James Tilley, who's in excellent goal-scoring form for AFC Wimbledon this season, and they lead 2-0 at Plough Lane. Now here is Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United, desperate to try and get a legitimate goal before half-time. They thought they had one, but as Van Hecke hit the decker, as you might say, Perry Groves, I'm beating you to that, Rashford couldn't cross the ball from in play. But there's still plenty of encouragement. They might be behind here, Eric Ten Hag's men, Perry Gross, but there's plenty of encouragement they can take from what they've seen in the first half, the way the players have performed.
Manchester United have been very good in possession. Marcus Rashford looked really sharp. You want to get a bit more out of Rasmus Højlund. Regulon's looked good down that left-hand side. They say there they've been a bit unlucky with the VAR call.
We're going into 3 minutes of minimum added time. We're in the last minute of normal time. Here comes Fernandes crossing the ball into the area. Dunk has the time to chest the ball down, and Lallana then releases Mitoma. His first touch is heavy, and it allows Lindelof to slide in just inside the United half to win it back. But Lamptey goes all the way back to his goalkeeper, who's been pressurised by Højlund. But again, Steele acts as though there's no player anywhere near him in a red shirt and finds a teammate. Here's Van Hekke, fires the ball up to Adingra. Great close control by the Ivorian on the far side. And then it's rolled back by Veltman to Van Hekke. We're into that 3 minutes of added time. Norwich 1, Stoke 0 in the Championship. Alex Neil taking his Stoke side back to his old club, but they're behind. Jack Stacey with the goal for Norwich. And I'll be at Carrow Road on Wednesday night for a great Championship game in prospect. Live on Talksport 2, Norwich against Leicester. Whilst on Talksport, how about this? Bayern Munich against Manchester United in the Champions League. Great choice of listing for you on Wednesday night across the Talksport network. Brighton 1-0 up and trying to come forward with Simon Adingra, but he's dispossessed by Lisandro Martinez. Reguilon finds Eriksen inside his own half, has to lay it off for Lindelof under pressure. Lindelof with a diagonal ball looking for Rashford. Picks the ball up, the flag hasn't gone up against Rashford's got into the area, up against Van Hekke, right footed shot, flashed it wide. The flag still doesn't go up, even though play is now dead. It's a goal kick, and Van Hekke looks across at the assistant on this near side, said, "Where's the flag, governor?" But it didn't go up, but Rashford didn't hit the target anyway. 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, he looks about a half-yard offside dance. He's right in front of us, and we've got the lines, haven't we, where you get different shades of grass, and he was, say, half-yard offside, but obviously Brighton had to play on, and Rashford has been really, really sharp in this first half. He's thriving and playing in that, more central position next to Rasmus Højlund, but he just drifts out to that left-hand side, comes in on his right foot, tries to bend it in Jane Steele's top left-hand corner, gets himself underneath it. But this has been an absolutely exhilarating first half of football, Dance. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be here. Both teams trying to win the game. Man United have been on the front foot, they've been the dominant force, but Brighton always looking dangerous on the counter-attack.
I quite agree. It's been fantastic to bring you this game, and plenty more to come. We're in the second minute of a minimum 3 that have been added on by Jared Gillett at the end of this first half. Brighton then, 1 goal up, will want to carry that into the half-time break. Van Hekke rolls the ball infield to the experienced Lallana. Ball given away. A chance now for Højlund to burst through. Well, that's an important touch from Mahmoud Dahoud to dispossess him. Højlund went down, and now the referee blows the whistle and says that's offside anyway against Højlund before Dahoud could snap back and win possession. So Brighton get a free kick 25 yards from their own goal. 1-0 they lead.
Yeah. You could actually hear Dahoud's sharp intake of breath from here, dancing, because he got his pocket picked, and then as the ball just ricocheted things off of Scott McTominay.
Yeah, that would have been a free kick, no doubt, because Dahoud got none of the ball as he barged into the back of Rasmus Højlund, but the first defence was the offside against Højlund. And then there's a trip on Dahoud by Bruno Fernandes, and a yellow card for Bruno Fernandes. And he joins Lamptey in the referee's notebook as we approach half-time here on Talksport 2. 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, we're all talking about Bruno. Just a little bit of frustration there from Fernandes. Dahoud just opened his body out, and just Bruno Fernandes tackling from behind. In the modern game, he's got no intention of playing the ball whatsoever. Just clatters into the back of Dahoud's calves, giving Jared Gillett absolutely no option but to
free kick taken quickly, and Dunk tried to find Welbeck down the area, but he just couldn't control it. He was in a bit of space, but just couldn't control the ball at the left-hand corner. And the referee's whistle blows for half-time, and a mixed reception around Old Trafford. The boos aren't too vociferous, because Manchester United fans know that their team have been more than well in this first half. Some scintillating football at times from Eric Ten Hag's men, notably from Marcus Rashford, who's been fleet of foot all afternoon. But the important goal went Brighton Hove Albion's way midway through the half as they attacked down the right-hand side. It was actually started by Brighton goalkeeper Jason Steele, passing the ball out from his own 18-yard box to Pascal Gross. It eventually worked its way out to Simon Adingra down the right-hand side, and his first time ball into the box, dummied by Lallana, allowing former Manchester United striker Danny Welbeck to smack the ball home with his left foot. Rasmus Højlund thought he had his first United goal with an equaliser, which was ruled out by VAR as Marcus Rashford's cross had only been struck once the ball had gone out of play over the dead ball line. But a scintillating first half at Old Trafford. But it is Perry Groves, Manchester United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
As you said, Dan, it's been absolutely electrifying. It's been non-stop. The pace of the game, the intensity from both teams has been excellent. You have to say Manchester United, I thought, were very, very good, Dan, in that first 25 minutes on the front foot. Reguilon getting himself involved on the left-hand side. Marcus Rashford playing more as a centre-forward next to Rasmus Højlund, and had a couple of chances. Marcus Rashford, dangerous coming in on that left-hand side onto his right foot. Got the ball onto his preferred right foot and quite couldn't get the purchase properly, could he, when Jason Steele just saved it with his right foot. And then Brighton eased themselves back into the game, and it was a breakaway goal of the highest quality, because Jason Steele, we've said he has nerves of steel because he gets closed down, whether it's Rashford, whether it's Højlund. He actually waits, Dan. We said before, it's like a cat playing with a little ball of string. You know, when you tease, he teases the centre forwards in to come and try and close him down. Then he either pings it to his centre halves, Van Hecker or Dunk.
It's like trying to get a stick off my dog.
Exactly that, yeah. Just a little bit of cat and mouse going on, or so cat and dog going on, or mouse and dog, whichever way you look at it.
Mouse and dog.
So but for the goal for Brighton, he starts at Jason Steele. He then pings it into Pascal Gross, who gets on the turn. Then he gets out onto the right-hand side into Van Hecker, gets it back, then rolls it into Danny Welbeck, who he releases Adingra on that right-hand side. And then you're thinking, can you pick the right pass? And Lallana gets himself into the penalty area, and he's got fantastic awareness because he lets it run over, doesn't he, underneath his legs. And then Danny Welbeck opens his body out, and just with his left foot, just a real calm finish past Onana, give himself absolutely no chance. That goal just sums up the way that Brighton Hove Albion want to play. But Manchester United have still been, even though they're 1-0 down, Manchester United, I thought, were very good in this first half.
More from Perry Groves as we continue through the afternoon. The half-time score here then is Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1. Let's look ahead to tonight's Premier League action with Now Sports.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with a Now Sports membership. Stream the Premier League live without a contract from $11.99. Search Now Sports 18+, stream via internet, terms apply.
Newcastle against Brentford is our 5:30 offering in the Premier League today, and Steve Harmison's going to be reporting on the game for Talksport. He's at St James's already. Harmy, how you doing?
I'm very well, Dan. I'm very well. Hoping the rain stays away. The lights have just come on, cones are out, flags are on the seats waiting for the supporters to come in. The atmosphere is just building very, very nicely. It's an important game for Newcastle. I would say I think they've got to win.
It's an important game for you if it rains, because you want to keep your equipment dry. I know what it's like there at Newcastle. A bit of light drizzle, and you're struggling because you're only just behind the managerial dugouts. Now, what of Newcastle's start to the season? A couple of defeats have sort of maybe tempered expectations a little. Would that be fair to say, Steve?
Yeah, I think so, Dan. I think when you look at it in the corresponding fixtures last year, the 4 games they've played so far, they'd only be 1 point better off. Tough start of the season. Brentford again come in. This will be the 5th game of the season. Played, all teams have played so far this season. They've been in the top 9, but because of the slow start, I think even more pressure on this game and on the Premier League game against Sheffield United next week, because they've got the likes of Milan, City, and PSG in the next 3 midweeks to come. So they'll want to get back into winning mode if they want to try and emulate what they did last season. So yeah, it's been a slow start for them, but if you look at the games, they battered Aston Villa here. They didn't do too badly against City away. Liverpool, fair play to Liverpool the way Jurgen Klopp managed the game towards the end of the game, but Newcastle should have been outside when Miguel Almiron placed it over the bar 5 minutes into the second half, and 2-0 would have made a huge difference, and they didn't turn up against Brighton. So I think that's been the story of Newcastle's season so far.
And quickly on Brentford, always easy on the eye, Steve, so that it should be an open game, shouldn't it?
It should be a fantastic game. You know, Brentford battered Newcastle down at the G-Tech last year in the first half. They really did 1-0 at half-time, and Wilson came on, and be interested to see if Callum Wilson does play, and that was the difference. But Thomas Frank's done a wonderful job. Came in 2018, and what a job he's done at that stadium, and the way they play and the turnover of players, they keep getting better and better every year. I can only see this being a fantastic game of football. The one watch, though, from Brentford, they came here early part of last season. I think the occasion got to them. I think the stadium got to them, and supporters got to them. And by the time they blinked, they were already sort of a long way down the road. Newcastle won 5-1. So it's going to be an intriguing game, one I'm looking forward to.
Stay dry, Harmy. Stay dry. Steve Harmison there at St James's Park. That was a look ahead to this afternoon's Premier League action. Don't forget that with Now, you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle Brentford live today for £11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports.
Stay ahead of the game on Talksport 2 with a Now Sports membership. Stream the Premier League live without a contract from £11.99. Search Now Sports 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Second half commentary on the way from here live at Old Trafford. Can Manchester United find a way back into this game? Brighton have the edge at the break. The scoreline, Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
Game day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Now. Stream the Premier League live without a contract from £11.99. Search Now Sports 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less stalling and more sawing, less drive time and more site time. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Friend, for all of yourselves, we have all of your faves on Just Eat. From your wading through work self to your late night munchy self. Help those selves to a smooth Costa coffee latte. A perfect Domino's pepperoni passion. A freshly made Five Guys All-American cheeseburger. A classic Pizza Express American hot. And a delish McDonald's Big Mac. So take yourself from a 6 to a 9.9. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Subject to availability and store opening times. Service charges and other charges apply. See justeat.co.uk for more details.
With the transfer window closed, it's now properly game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday only in the Sun.
The Monopoly game is back at McDonald's. And guess what? It's still twice as nice. Because with double peel, you can peel on pack, then peel again on the McDonald's app to win prizes like brand new mini electrics, lovely McDonald's food, HP Omen gaming laptops, TUI holiday vouchers, £1,000 in cash, plus tons of other incredible prizes. 18 plus, UK only. Selected items subject to serving times and availability. End 17th of October. Gameplay and prize claims may require McDonald's app. See mcdrules.co.uk.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the English Football League.
Game day. Pushing the apex of live football.
The biggest and best football on the radio.
Game day exclusive.
On Talksport 2.
It's lovely to have your company this Saturday afternoon. It is game day exclusive. Ian Danter here at Old Trafford alongside Perry Groves. The half-time score here with full second half commentary to come is Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1. But let's check out the other half-time scores this afternoon.
This is game day. Half-time classifieds. Premier League.
In the lunchtime kickoff, it finished live on Talksport. Wolves 1, Liverpool 3. These are half times. Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0, Luton 0, Manchester United 0, Brighton 1, as you've heard here, Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 0, and West Ham United 1, Manchester City 0.
Sky Bet Championship.
Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 0, Bristol City 0, West Brom 0, Huddersfield 1, Rotherham 0, Norwich 1, Stoke 0, Preston 2, Plymouth 0, QPR 1, Sunderland 1. That's just turned half-time. Jack Clark equalising for Sunderland 8 minutes into added time. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Ipswich 1, and Watford 0, Birmingham 0. Cardiff Swansea is live on Talksport 2 at 7:45.
Sky Bet League 1.
Half-time scores: Barnsley 1, Burton 0, Derby 0, Portsmouth 0, Exeter 0, Cheltenham 0, Fleetwood 0, Oxford 2, Lincoln 0, Carlisle 1, Peterborough 1, Leyton Orient 1, Port Vale 0, Northampton 0, Reading 0, Bolton 1, Shrewsbury 0, Bristol Rovers 0, Stevenage 1, Charlton 0, Wigan 0, Cambridge 0, and Wycombe 1, Blackpool 0.
Sky Bet League 2.
Half times: Accrington Stanley 1, Sutton United 0, AFC Wimbledon 2, Crewe 0, Bradford 0, Harrogate 0, Colchester 1, Mansfield 0, Crawley 0, Tranmere 1, Forest Green 0, Doncaster 1, Gillingham 2, Morecambe 1, Milton Keynes 1, Stockport 2, Newport 1, Barrow 0, Swindon 1, Walsall 0, and Wrexham 2, Grimsby 0.
The Scottish Premiership.
At lunchtime it finished St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2. These are half times: Celtic 0, Dundee 0, Hearts 1, Aberdeen 0, Kilmarnock 0, Hibs 1, Motherwell 0, St Mirren 0, and Ross County 0, Livingston 0. So plenty more live sport to come. We've got PGA Tour golf at around about 10 o'clock tonight. Cardiff Swansea in the South Wales Derby at 7:45. But once we're done here, we've got a bit of Super League action for you as we get into the critical stages of the season. Catalans against Leeds is live from 5 here on Talksport 2, and let's check in with our match commentator for that match, Mark Wilson. Afternoon to you, Mark.
Afternoon, Dan. 3 weeks ago, Catalans looked nailed on for top spot in the Super League and a second league leader she'll win, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. It means not only are they struggling to finish top, they're not even guaranteed a place in the top 2, which would guarantee them a bye in the first round of the playoffs and a home semi-final, and just 80 minutes away from Old Trafford. They'll fancy, though, beating Leeds. They were thumped 50-0 by Wigan last week, but despite that, Leeds 8th in the table. They could still mathematically qualify for the playoffs. There's plenty at stake for the Rhinos as well, but they must win here tonight to give themselves any chance. A win for the Dragons, that will put them second, level on points with Wigan and St Helens, and it may well be points difference that decides who finishes in the top 2. So expect the Dragons, they're not just going to settle for a win, they need as many points as possible. It should make for a cracking tie tonight. Former Wigan and Hull star Craig Murdoch alongside us with live straight after you at Old Trafford dance for Catalan Dragons against the Leeds Rhinos.
Cheers, Wills, thanks very much indeed. Always worth taking in a Super League commentary with us on Talksport 2. Who knows, Catalans could be back here for the grand final come next month. So that's live at 5 o'clock here on Talksport 2, Catalan against Leeds. And then straight after that, we're off to South Wales for a cracking derby in store. Cardiff City against Swansea City. And your match commentator for that 7:45 kickoff is Joe Shannon.
Well, it's one of the great league fixtures of any domestic season, and it's live from South Wales tonight on Talksport 2. The latest instalment of one of Britain's fiercest derbies, an evening of passion, of pride, an evening on which to nail your club colours to the mast. 41 miles separate Cardiff City and Swansea City along the South Wales coast. 2 cities both divided and united by rivalry and a desperate desire to come out on top. As far as Swansea are concerned, well, they've got a fabulous record in this fixture over recent seasons. In fact, today they're going for an unprecedented 5th league win in a row over Cardiff City. But the new Swans boss, Michael Duff, is still looking for his first league victory since taking charge over the summer. For Cardiff, well, they haven't won a home fixture against Swansea since the Premier League days when these two teams met way back 10 years ago. It should be a cracker tonight. I'll have the former Scotland striker Chris Iwelumo alongside me for commentary on Talksport 2 from the Cardiff City Stadium. It's a 7:45 kickoff tonight for the 65th league meeting between Cardiff and Swansea.
Thank you, Joe. So basically, just stay on this frequency between now and the wee small hours, and you'll also get PGA Tour golf from California in the 40-night championships. Russ Hargreaves will be your guide late night from 10 p.m. once the action is done at the Cardiff City Stadium. The applause you hear around us at Old Trafford is for the re-emergence of Manchester United from the tunnel down to our left. The Brighton players also coming out for the start of the second half. A reminder, if you're just tuning in, the half-time score here, Manchester United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Brighton halfway towards a fourth successive win against Manchester United in the Premier League, and it really would bring a fairly horrible fortnight to the worst possible end for Eric Ten Hag, Perry Groves, if it stays like this.
Yes, a certain amount of irony at the moment as well, because the last game that Manchester United lost here at Old Trafford was the first game of the Premier League season last season, wasn't it?
Well, Manchester City have taken just a few seconds to equalise at the start of the second half at West Ham. I think that's a first goal for Manchester City for Jeremy Doku, their deadline day signing, the Belgium international, makes it 1-1 at the London Stadium. And we're ready for the start of the second half. No changes for either Eric Ten Hag or Roberto De Zerbi. I'll run you through the lineups in a minute, but Manchester United in red shirts, white shorts, black socks are attacking the Stretford end away to our left in this second half. We're sat halfway up the Bobby Charlton stand, the south stand. Brighton in their blue and white striped shirts, blue shorts and socks. They're kicking from left to right towards the east stand end. And of course the Brighton fans are in the southeast corner to our right, enjoying their afternoon so far. And the Manchester United lineup: Onana in goal, Dalot, Lindelof, Martinez, Reguilon, Casemiro, McTominay, Eriksen, Fernandes, Rashford and Højlund. Brighton just winning the header in their own defensive third with Van Hecke, passed in field by Adingra. I'll run you through the Brighton lineup in a minute because Adingra is coming forward, but that's well won by Lisandro Martinez. Brighton, they'll win it back. Welbeck, the goal scorer, drifts in field from this near touchline. He's still going into the area, Welbeck, and then Lisandro Martinez gets a foot in and gets it half clear. McTominay will tidy up. The Brighton lineup: Steele in goal, Veltman, Van Hecke, Dunk and Lamptey across the back. And then in midfield, Gross, Dahu, Lallana, Adingra and Mitoma behind Welbeck in attack. Wycombe have a second at home to Blackpool. Brandon Hanlon makes it Wycombe 2, Blackpool 0. And I've got Perry Groves alongside me for the afternoon here at Old Trafford.
Just looking at Manchester United again, Dance, and Brighton, the way you said they've lined up. Manchester United, we saw that diamond in midfield with Casemiro at the base of the diamond and Fernandes obviously at the top of it. When Eriksen comes in from Manchester United's left-hand side, centrally, Veltman, we see here again, he just follows him all the way in. It doesn't matter whether he goes over to Manchester United's right-hand side. Veltman just goes in, and then Van Hecke just comes out and picks up Marcus Rashford, who drifts out to the left. So there's loads of intriguing little tactical battles going on.
Yeah, we're not really seeing anything different tactically from what we saw towards the end of the first half, though, are we?
No, but it's just the way that De Zerbi has actually said, right, we've got to negate the threat, obviously, of Christian Eriksen.
Mitoma coming down the Brighton left, although just has the ball taken off his toe as he got to the left-hand corner of the box. And here come Manchester United. Rashford has been superb all afternoon. He's got Van Hecke backpedaling into the area. Rashford, more step-overs, angles tightening, pulls the ball across the face of goal. This time it doesn't find a red shirt, and instead Dahu can whack the ball clear, and he finds Mitoma. Again, really hard lines on Marcus Rashford, who was brilliant in the build-up play. And now Mitoma's released Danny Welbeck down the left-hand side for Brighton. He's got Lindelof backpedaling. He goes into the area. He lays it off to Pascal Gross 30 yards out. Feints to shoot on his left. Checks onto his right. Goes for goal. And it's a very comfortable save for Andre Onana. 1-0 Brighton.
I think Danny Welbeck and Marcus Rashford are having a foot over off, because every time it comes into them...
Well, the ball's just given away for Lewis Dunk to pick it off for Brighton. Here's Mitoma. Plays the ball into the area, brilliant run from Adingra, but out comes Onana and makes a smart save to deny Simon Adingra, although the offside flag, I think, had gone up against the Brighton 24.
Yeah, I think Adingra just went a little bit too quick, but that was the trademark outside the right foot from Matone, wasn't it, from that left-hand side.
Now Højlund looking to scrap for possession with Lewis Dunk, but Van Hecke gets across and the ricochet favours Brighton. The steal comes out and plunges on top of the ball around the penalty spot. Højlund won the first challenge against the first centre-half, but hadn't reckoned with the other one. Van Hecke coming in to win possession. 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, Højlund just needs to calm himself down a little bit. You can tell, obviously, it's a big game for the young man leading the line for Manchester United. When the ball comes into him, he's looked a little bit untidy. Just looking at Marcus Rashford again, up against Van Hecke. Again, foot overs, goes on the outside. And what happened, Eriksson and Højlund both made themselves into the 6-yard box, where one of them has just got to pull out, and then if one of them pulls out, then they get a tapping into an empty net.
Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1. 4 minutes gone in the second half. Crystal Palace lead at Aston Villa. There was that goal for Moussa Diaby ruled out by VAR in the first half of Villa. Well, Odsonne Edouard had just put Palace ahead early in the second. No Roy Hodgson there today, who's poorly and has not attended the game at Villa Park, but his side are ahead through Odsonne Edouard. 1-0 to the away side here as well at Old Trafford, as the floodlights are on, not really having too much of an effect. It's a cloudy day in Manchester, but not dark and overcast. Blackburn 2, Middlesbrough 0. Sammy Smodics with his second of the afternoon for Blackburn, and Michael Carrick's problems continue as Middlesbrough manager. Yet to win this season in the Championship, just one draw.
Where we are up here also in Manchester, this is relatively balmy for Manchester.
It is. 73,592 inside Old Trafford. The attendance confirmed at the start of this second half, but it's those who've made the trip up from the Sussex Downs that are happiest. Ball's back with the Brighton keeper, Jason Steele, and he clips the ball out to Lamptey, the diminutive full-back, out on the left-hand side, and he goes at pace down the left-hand side and plays a 1-2 with Mitoma. Was he blocked off by Dalot as he went for the return? No, says the referee, and we play on at 1-0 to Brighton.
Yeah, there's a good little battle, isn't it, down Brighton's left, Man United's right, between Dalot and Lamptey. Dalot did brilliantly there, because as Lamptey went to go on the overlap, Dalot, instead of running a straight line, he went diagonally just to make sure he blocked off Lamptey's run, made sure he got the ball back for Man United.
Neat turn from Rasmus Højlund on halfway, fires the ball into Rashford, inside left, he's going to get into the box again, the angle's tightening, hits the side netting with a left-footed strike. He had Van Hecke isolated there, did Marcus Rashford, but didn't take the opportunity to get a shot on target. Goal kick to Brighton, 6 gone in the second half, 1-0 to the Seagulls.
Good link-up play from Manchester United's front two. Højlund with a great little Cruyff turn in the centre circle, just then switches the ball out to the left-hand side. You said there, Dance, Rashford had Van Hecke where he wanted him, 1v1. In the end, to be fair to Van Hecke, Dance, every time Rashford's gone at him, he hasn't dived in. He stayed on his feet, isn't he? He's waited to the last minute, showed him down the left-hand side. Rashford couldn't quite wrap his left foot around the ball.
Lovely drag back from Tariq Lamptey to take the ball away from McTominay, and it goes out onto the Brighton left and Kaoru Mitoma. Celtic lead Dundee by 1-0 in the Premiership. A penalty from David Turnbull. Celtic in Champions League action on Tuesday night against Feyenoord. I'll be bringing you commentary on that on Talksport 2 with Scott Minto. Here's Adingra for Brighton, who lead by 1-0, finding Welbeck. Veltman level with the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, tight to this near touchline. Welbeck receives the ball and strokes the ball back to halfway for Van Hecke. Now Dahu in the centre circle. His opposite number, Fernandes, closing him down. But again, they're just playing these neat triangles of football, Brighton, to get out of trouble. And the ball is laid off by Veltman to Welbeck on halfway. Pascal Gross with his orange boots finds Welbeck once again. Adingra, good close control. Wriggles away from Reguilon, who's still snapping at him. But Adingra's just checked his run and works it back towards the halfway line. And Veltman. Now here's Pascal Gross. Lincoln equalise at home to Carlisle in League One. Ethan Hamilton, 1-1 there. Here's Mitoma for Brighton Hove Albion. Down the left-hand side of the area, Lamptey nicks the ball in field. It's taken up by Pascal Gross. A dummy and a goal! Pascal Gross doubles Brighton's lead. They're at it again at Old Trafford. The last team to win here back in August last year. They're 2 goals clear this afternoon. Pascal Gross with a dummy to send a Man United centre-half completely out of the game, and then he strokes it low past Onana. Can you believe it? It's Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 2.
Dance again, it's another fantastic team goal from Brighton Hove Albion. Probably 20 passes, started out on this right-hand side. Danny Welbeck dropping deep, getting involved, then coming out to Adingra. Adingra then just switching it over to the left-hand side. No pressure on the ball from Manchester United. Goes out to Mitoma. Tariq Lamptey goes on the underlap. Mitoma comes inside, plays it into Lamptey. He plays a little ball into Pascal Gross. And you said there, I think Martinez is going to have to pay to get back in the stadium, Dance, because he's given him such a swerve there, Pascal Gross, where he's let the ball just roll across his body. Fantastic composure. lets the ball run, and then just whips it with his right foot, low down to Onana's right-hand side. Another fantastic team goal from Brighton Hove Albion to put them 2-0 up.
Pascal Gross, who scored both goals when Brighton won here by 2-1 last season, gets the goal, and his second of the season in this campaign, to really put Manchester United under pressure. Now, I was here a couple of weeks ago, Perry, when Manchester United were 2-0 down against Nottingham Forest, but that was after 5 minutes. We've played nearly 55 this afternoon, and they've got to find a route back.
That's what happens. We said with Manchester United in the first half, they were, very good on the ball, though Brighton dominated possession when you come the last 15 minutes first half. Manchester United don't close down with any intensity. It's all half-hearted. When you're going to go and close down, you've got to make sure the first man goes and sprints, then the second man sprints very well. They jog to close down, and Brighton are that good in possession, Dance. They'll just play around you. All 1 and 2 touch. So they're both the goals. First one from Danny Welbeck and the second one from Pascal Gross have been absolutely perfect team goals.
Well, I watched Roberto De Zerbi as Gross wheeled away in celebration. He sunk to his knees in deep joy. It's his first ever match coaching at Old Trafford. He says it's his dream to be coaching a side travelling to Old Trafford. Well, the dream's coming true for him this afternoon, Roberto De Zerbi. His team are 2-0 up. Live on Talksport 2 at Old Trafford. And now he's jumping up and down in frustration, De Zerbi, because again, Brighton have conceded possession. He doesn't betray his emotions at any point when he stood on the edge of that technical area.
That took me back to my punk rock days. I thought he was doing the pogo then.
He was, yeah. I like bouncing, boing, boing, boing.
And the reason he did is because he felt that when Martinez was in possession of Man United, that Danny Welbeck could have gone and closed him down and won the ball off of him. So it's just, I said about teams mirroring managers, and he's a live wire, isn't he, on the in the technical area. And now, even though his team were 2-0 up, he still wants them to be on the front foot.
Here's McTominay for Manchester United trying to respond. Bruno Fernandes out to the right-hand corner of the Brighton penalty areas. United attack the Stretford end. Casemiro rolls the ball back to Lindelof, now at the centre of the Brighton half. Lindelof again gets his head up, options left and right, plays it just to his right for Fernandes, carries the ball forward, tries to drive, and it's straight into the chest of Jason Steele, who holds onto it well because there were red shirts flying at him for any afters if he'd spilt it. 2-0 to Brighton.
Really good strike from Bruno Fernandes there, fully 25 yards out, right hand corner of Brighton's 18-yard box. He just puts his laces through the ball, but Jason Steele got a good sight of it, and he just bounced aimlessly into his arms.
You're listening to Manchester United 0, Brighton 2 on Talksport 2 with Now. Don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle, Brentford, live today for £11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. 57 minutes played on Talksport 2. Manchester United 0, Brighton Hove Albion 2. And here come United with Casemiro feeding the ball out wide right to Rasmus Højlund, who had a goal disallowed by VAR in the first half. Back in field to Bruno Fernandes, right hand corner of the box, looks for Højlund again, running across the 18-yard line. Rashford tries to get a shot in, and it's deflected over the bar for a Manchester United corner at the Stretford end. 2-0 Brighton.
There's a really good block there from Van Hecke. Ball coming out to Rashford via Rasmus Højlund. Again, Rashford trying to get it onto his right foot. There's been again a nice little personal battle there between Van Hecke and Marcus Rashford.
Here's Fernandes whipping the ball into the side netting. Didn't actually go in play, I don't think. Just got his angles all wrong there, the Manchester United captain. So it's a goal kick to Brighton and Hove Albion, and a couple of Brighton subs are being called back. Looks like Roberto De Zerbi's going to blink first in terms of making changes from his substitutes bench. Perry Groves, João Pedro's being spoken to. He will be on in just a moment. Meantime, here's Kaoru Mitoma down the left-hand side for Brighton, gives it back to the halfway line, and Pascal Gross, who scored Brighton's second. Van Hecke squares the ball in field for Lewis Dunk.
It's amazing in football, Dan. Pascal Gross made his debut, didn't he, midweek for Germany at 32, and he's getting better and better as he gets older.
Here's Veltman carrying the ball forward for Brighton at pace, rolls the ball into the area. Thought that Welbeck was continuing his run, but he just got his run held. just for a moment, and Ansu Fati is going to be on shortly for his Brighton Hove Albion debut on loan from Barcelona. I think we're all intrigued to see how the 20-year-old gets on in the Premier League. Broke all sorts of records. João Pedro, as I mentioned, is coming on as well for a Brighton double change. Few Manchester United subs warming up too. They're 2-0 down, remember, Erik ten Hag's men. Fernandes, the captain, rides the challenge of Gross, cuts in field, tries to thread the ball through to Højlund, comes out to Rashford, left-hand corner of the area, tried to chip the ball into the box, but Gross was there on the scene and won it back. Brought down brilliantly by Adingra, like he's got carpet slippers on, and works it back to Pascal Gross, who passes back to Van Hecke.
I think you mean velvet carpet slippers, Dan.
They were velvet, absolutely. The most expensive money can buy. Ball's kept in play by Bruno Fernandes, but Welbeck's there to win it back, and now the atmosphere around Old Trafford just starting to shift a little bit, Perry Groves.
Well, I think if you're Erik ten Hag, he's got to be looking to change it up. You've got Nacho on the bench, Palestri on the bench. It needs a little bit of invention, it needs a freshness from Manchester United. As you said there, it's going to be De Zerbi who makes the changes first.
Wigan 1, Cambridge 0. Stephen Humphreys for Wigan, who'd long since cancelled out their minus points deficit at the start of the season in League One. Here in the Premier League, Manchester City 1-1 at West Ham, Palace 1-0 up at Villa, Fulham, Luton and Spurs, Sheffield United both goalless. And here at Old Trafford, live on Talksport 2, Brighton are 2-0 up on Manchester United. Gross finds Van Hecke, back to Jason Steele, the keeper, who this time elects to clear first time in the air. And Manchester United did win it back, but there's Lallana working hard for his team once more to win it back. Manchester United have the ball now on halfway with Christian Eriksen. Back it goes to Lisandro Martinez. Eriksen again, just to the right of the centre circle. Plays it out to the right-hand touchline. Diogo Dalot trying to outpace Mitoma. He's got the better of Mitoma. Now it goes past Lamptey. Great run from Dalot. Pulls it back to the far post, looking for Rashford, but Veltman heads it over the crossbar for a Manchester United corner. Superb work down the United right by Diogo Dalot. But Brighton still lead 2-0.
Brilliant wing play from Diogo Dalot. Just keeping past the challenge of Mitoma. It's really weak. Tariq Lamptey then just dangles out a lead. He gets to the byline, just tries to chip it to the far post. In the end, it was a real good defensive header from Van Hecke.
Fleetwood 0, Oxford 3. Short corner for Manchester United at the Stretford end. Here's Bruno Fernandes, left-hand corner of the box. Plays the ball along the 18-yard line to Dalot, brings it down. He's being pressurised by Gross. Has to work it back to Christian Eriksen. Eriksen will drill the ball into the area. Welbeck gets a foot in for Brighton. And then it's won back by Adingra. Only Mitoma up with him as they try and counter. Adingra just drifts past Eriksen for a moment. Gets up to halfway for Brighton and Hove Albion. Then rolls it back 5 yards or so for Tariq Lamptey, and Brighton will slow the play down. And still João Pedro and Ansu Fati wait to be introduced. It's going to be Welbeck and Lallana that will make way for those two new Brighton players.
Just talking about Danny Welbeck, Dan, how well he's led the line for Brighton. You know, you got Rasmus Højlund up front for Man United, and Danny Welbeck, different stage of their career. And Danny Welbeck just looks like a player that knows his craft. You know, he looks very comfortable in possession. He doesn't rush his first touch. He drops deep, gets involved. He scored his goal. Obviously, with Rasmus Højlund, who's up front for Man United, he's very, very raw.
I don't know how Jason still found that angle to play the pass out of his own penalty area to find Pascal Gross.
To be fair, I've just elbowed you because Jason Steele dummied me. I've just gone to my left-hand side. Jason Steele's gone to his left.
Amazing. He dropped his shoulder and sent us all the wrong way. So here come the changes for Brighton first of all, but there is going to be a double change for Manchester United as well. First of all, Adam Lallana and Danny Welbeck are being withdrawn. So Welbeck, who scored the goal to open matters here against his old club, along with Adam Lallana, and on comes João Pedro and Ansu Fati, as we mentioned, on loan from Barcelona, gets a huge cheer on his debut. But meantime, Manchester United are making two changes, and Martial is coming on for Højlund, and Casemiro is being withdrawn to allow Hannibal Mejbri, who spent last season on loan at Birmingham City, to come on in his place. Similar position, but probably a little bit more dynamic. Now, listen to the response from the United fans to that change as Højlund sees his number come up to be replaced by Martial. The locals are not happy with that whatsoever.
I think the reason being, Dance, is they want to see Hoyland still on the pitch. If you're going to bring Martial in, put him up front with Hoyland, put Marcus Rashford out to the left-hand side. You need as many forwards on the pitch as possible.
Here's Martinez. Runs into Jean Pedro. Wins the throw. Fulham 1, Luton 0. Carlos Vinicius puts Fulham ahead against Luton at Craven Cottage. Does that mean much of a change in system, though, for Manchester United? It's pretty much like for like, isn't it, Perry?
Well, it looks like Mesri will go in a little bit more central position, a little bit more further forward than obviously Casemiro. It looks like Bruno Fernandes is going to drop that a little bit deeper, maybe to be the playmaker.
I'm used to seeing Hannibal playing in the defensive midfield where he was when he was at Birmingham on loan last year. He's a walking yellow card, by the way. Here he is, and he's fouled. Him actually earned a yellow card for Joel Veltman here, who chopped him down 25 yards out. But instead, the referee produces the vanishing spray from his pocket rather than a card. And it will be a free kick to Manchester United, about 30 yards out, pretty much dead centre. Brighton lead 2-0 on
Talksport. Really lucky
2.
there, Veltman, because Hannibal just nicked it off of him. Veltman was late. And if you're going to be consistent, to be fair, Jared Gillett has dished out 4 yellow cards.
Well, I was waiting for the yellow, weren't you?
Exactly, yeah.
Instead, he's marking out the shaving foam at the edge of the D for Brighton to set their wall up. Gives you an idea of just how far out this free kick is. QPR 1, Sunderland 2. Sunderland have turned it around. Daniel Ballard putting Sunderland 2-1 up, and Hearts 2-0 up on Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership.
Marcus Rashford, obviously, I think is going to take this free kick, and he's going to have the Cristiano Ronaldo laces technique, where he's going to try and dip it.
3-man wall in front of him. Rashford up to the ball, right-footed, goes for goal, and it's well held by Steele. Just patted it down in front of him and held onto it. It was on target, though, from Marcus Rashford. Manchester United 0, Brighton 2, as we approach the last quarter of the game on Talksport 2.
He had the Brighton 3-man wall and a 3-man wall with Manchester United behind Brighton's 3-man wall. And to be fair to Jason Steele, he stood his ground. You know, goalkeepers sometimes gamble, you know, maybe go slightly to the left-hand side. Stood his ground in the middle of the goal and just clicked it quite simply on his chest.
Bayern Munich next up for Manchester United. And that's away at the Allianz Arena. It's live on Talksport on Wednesday evening. Harry Kane, who scored 4 in 4, I think, for Bayern, including one against Leverkusen last night. Off to a flyer. And here, flying down the Brighton left, is Tariq Lamptey, who's trying to get Mitoma in behind. Fati was making a run as well, but it was one back for Manchester United. Now it's Diogo Dalot clipping the ball up to Martial, holds the ball up well, fired left by McTominay for Rashford. Foot in from Veltman just to dispossess Rashford for a moment. Celtic 3, Dundee 0. Matt O'Reilly with the third for Celtic. They take on Feyenoord on Tuesday night in their first Champions League fixture, Celtic. And plenty more live football to come tonight. We've got Cardiff Swansea. Sunday lunchtime on Talksport 2, Millwall Leeds. Nigel Adderley and Scott Minto will be at the Den for that game. Monday night exclusive Premier League action on Talksport is Nottingham Forest against Burnley from 7 p.m. with Adrian Durham, Sam Matterpace and Danny Murphy. And then we've got those Tuesday night Champions League games, not just Feyenoord Celtic, but also at 5:45 on Talksport. Newcastle back in the Champions League and playing AC Milan. But here, Brighton, who've got their first Europa League fixture, first ever European fixture on Thursday night against AEK Athens, 2-0 up against Manchester United. Here comes Reguilon down the left-hand side. Rashford skips inside. João Pedro goes down at the edge of the area, claims for a penalty, thumps the turf in frustration as Jared Gillett says no. And away come Brighton on the counter-attack. Maybe VAR will take a look at that. Meantime, Fati making a run through the middle, but it's well shepherded by Victor Lindelof and Lisandro Martinez. What did you make of that challenge on Rashford, Perry Groves?
On first look, Dance, I think Rashford might have clipped his own feet, because it's brilliant nutmegs first on Veltman to get Marcus Rashford away from him.
Ball downfield looking for Rashford again. Van Hecker just calmly nods the ball out of play. It's currently Manchester United 0, Brighton 2. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester United to win 18-1, Brighton to hold on for the win 7-1 on. The draw is priced at 6-1. That's all thanks to William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill, 18+, and the website is begambleaware.org. Martial for Manchester United, right-hand corner of the Brighton box, left-footed ball deep to the far post looking for Reguilon, and Adingra gets his head to the ball and puts it behind for a Manchester United corner at the Stretford end. Just over 20 minutes to go. United 0, Brighton 2.
Yes, Adingra there doing his defensive duties, just making sure he's tracking his run-up. Christian Eriksen now on the corner duties from Manchester United's left-hand side. Will whip it in with his right foot.
So a corner kick for Christian Eriksen, just by the tunnel at the Stretford end. Drills it deep to the far post. It goes beyond everybody and out to the far side of the field. Bruno Fernandes will struggle to keep that in play, and he can't. And it will be a throw to the blue and white striped shirts of Brighton Hove Albion instead. Tranmere back in front at Crawley. Crawley 1, Tranmere 2. Another for Charlie Jolly for Tranmere. Villa 0, Palace 1, Fulham 1, Luton 0. Still goalless at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Spurs and Sheffield United. And here at Old Trafford, Manchester United 0, Brighton 2, and it's 1-1 for the blue half of Manchester. They have equalised early in the second half at West Ham. That's still the scoreline at the London Stadium. Here's Joel Veltman for Brighton. Bring the ball to the midway point of his own half in the right back position, plays the ball up to Adingra, lays it off to João Pedro, one of the two substitutes who've just come on for Roberto De Zerbi. And Brighton just knocking the ball about at the moment, Perry Groves.
Yeah, Manchester United have gone very passive to say it's half-hearted in there, closing down. Hannibal's trying to get Manchester United and drag them up.
Yeah, he's not hard-hearted in terms of chasing after the ball.
The thing is, though, Dance, he's chasing after the ball like a dog chases a tyre, and nobody else is backing him up. If you look at him, Eriksen's 15 yards.
Tariq Lamptey away down the left-hand side for Brighton, at pace into the area, pulls it back. João Pedro! 3-0! What a goal from João Pedro! And Brighton have torn Manchester United apart once again on the counter-attack. Tariq Lamptey came forward, slid it in field. João Pedro let the ball run across his body and placed a quite stupendous right-footed effort past Onana. Brighton fans going potty to my right, whereas elsewhere Manchester United fans heading for the exits. Brighton doing it again. They're heading for a fourth successive Premier League win against Manchester United, and they're mauling them. It's Manchester United 0, Brighton 3.
Dance, Brighton are pass masters. Again, it started from their right back position. They switch the play. We said about the half-hearted closing down from Manchester United. It makes the way out to Tariq Lamptey on the left-hand side. And it's Dalot who just lets Lamptey come inside of him, doesn't go and close him down. Lamptey just rolls it with his left foot to João Pedro, just coming into the 18-yard box. João Pedro just lets the ball roll across his body, side foots it impeccably past Onana. Full length dive to Onana's left-hand side, absolutely no chance. What a fantastic finish there from João Pedro. Brighton have been absolutely outstanding in possession, and they deservedly go 3-0 up.
Wow, they are giving Manchester United a lesson in counter-attacking football this afternoon. 3-0 with 18 minutes to go. Can we play you every week comes the song from the southeast corner, which you might have predicted. As Mejbri comes forward, Hannibal to the edge of the area, goes for goal, and he gets one back for Manchester United. Great strike from Hannibal Mejbri, and he whips up the fans in the Sir Alex Ferguson stand opposite. Maybe there is a route back into this match for Manchester United after all. Hannibal reduces the arrears with a fantastic right-footed effort from fully 25 yards out. It's Manchester United 1, Brighton 3.
That's what exactly Manchester United need. Just possession from Martinez. Hannibal just picking the ball up in the number 10 position, essentially just gets the ball off of his chest onto his right foot. Nobody comes to close him down. Smashing left foot, gives Jason Still absolutely no chance. Goes waist height to the left of Jason Steele. Brilliant strike from the young man. Manchester United 1, Brighton Hove Albion 3.
It's first Manchester United goal, I think. Hannibal Mejbri. And it's taken it back to 2 goals difference. And there is a bit more belief around Old Trafford now. 73 minutes gone, and now there's a foul on Lewis Dunk from Hannibal, who, as I said, likes a challenge and liked a yellow card. And he's just gotten a bit of an altercation with Lewis Dunk, who's a good foot and a half taller than he is. Get this for a scoreline: Tottenham 0, Sheffield United 1, Gustavo Harmer. And I bet that's a 25-yard beauty. He doesn't deal in 3-yard tap-ins, Harmer. 1-0 to the Blades at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Well, he's done a lot of harm to Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. Is that the curse of the manager of the month and the player of the month?
At the moment it is. Now, James Milner is about to come on for Brighton. I think Tariq Lamptey's the player that's going off at the next break in play. And Billy Gilmore's going to come on for Mahmoud Dahoud as well. So another double change being ready by Roberto De Zerbi. Quarter of an hour to go on Talksport 2. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. And you sense the goal scoring somehow isn't quite done yet, Perry Groves.
I think from Brighton's point of view, obviously De Zerbi would have snapped your arm off, wouldn't he, if you'd like 3-1 up coming into 75th minute, but he'll be devastated that nobody put Hannibal Mejbri on under pressure.
There's a crunching challenge on the left-hand side as Veltman and Reguilon both went to ground around the corner flag, and they both tumbled down off that very steep bank off the edge of the pitch. They're both okay, it seems, but that's a very steep bank that they have to worry about. Any player that goes off the playing surface here at Old Trafford, and it can cause you problems. They both went towards the tunnel, but they both picked themselves up, and it's going to be a corner kick to Manchester United at the Stretford end, to be taken by Christian Eriksen. Right-footed in-swinger into the 6-yard line, headed out by João Pedro, picked up by Bruno Fernandes, sent it back into the box. Lindelof heads over the bar. Had a good chance there, he was right in front of goal, 6 yards out, but couldn't keep the header down. Goal kick to Brighton, and here comes that double change for Brighton. James Milner and Billy Gilmore coming on, Tariq Lamptey and Mahmoud Dahoud coming off. Perry Groves, James Milner, with all those years of experience, maybe just to calm a few heads down out there in blue and white stripes.
Well, James Milner can actually play anywhere down to Carney, because you said there it's looking like that he'll go over into that left back position.
Yep.
And then Billy Gilmore will just be like for Dahoud.
Meanwhile, West Ham 1, Manchester City 2. Bernardo Silva for Manchester City. They've come from behind at the London Stadium. Bristol Rovers lead at Shrewsbury by goal to nil. John Marquis. Ross County lead Livingston by goal to nil in the Scottish Prem. Wigan 2, Cambridge 1. Cambridge get a goal back from the penalty spot through Virginia Konabiri. And with 13.5 minutes to go, it's Manchester United 1, Brighton Hove Albion 3. Erik ten Hag now at the edge of his technical area. So too Roberto De Zerbi, but of course Ten Hag keeps a far calmer countenance than his opposite number. Rashford giving chase down the left-hand side, but he won't catch the ball up before it goes out of play for a Brighton goal kick. Bradford 0, Harrogate 1 in League 2. Bradford have got a brilliant home record, but Matty Daly has put Harrogate in front. They're 13 unbeaten at home, Bradford, but they do like a late goal at Valley Parade. Manchester United could do with a couple of late goals here just to get a point against Brighton Hove Albion, who are 3-1 up. You're with Talksport 2. Don't forget Catalan Dragons against Leeds at 5 o'clock in the Super League, straight after this commentary with Mark Wilson and Craig Murdoch, your commentary team. And then the South Wales Derby in the Championship at 7:45. Cardiff City against Swansea City. Joe Shannon and Chris Iwelumo will be your team for that game at the Cardiff City Stadium. Manchester United give possession up. And here's João Pedro darting over the halfway line. Fati to his left and Mitoma making a strong run down the left-hand side. And Pedro's fed him. Mitoma's in the box. Angles tight. Hits it against the chest of Onana. And Manchester United can clear their lines. Off Fati, it goes out for a throw to Manchester United. A chance for Brighton to make it 4 then, Perry Groves.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford just sloppy in possession. Give the ball away to João Pedro. Puts in side. Dallo for Mitoma running in from that left-hand side. Mitoma gets himself 1v1 with Onana, and Onana does brilliantly where he just does the long barrier, stays nice and big at his near post, ends up clearing the ball with his left arm.
Forward comes Sergio Reguilon for Manchester United. Rashford hugging the left-hand touchline just next to him. Picks it up now. 25 yards from the dead ball line. Infield it goes to Christian Eriksen. Eriksen now finds Lisandro Martinez. Fernandes back to Lindelof in the centre circle. Martinez again for Manchester United. 3-1 down. Finds Sergio Reguilon, who's had a decent game on his debut. Shows a clean pair of heels there to Fati. Cross goes into the box, and it's a header from Lewis Dunk. Quite brilliantly, bravely heading clear, with red shirts flying in all around him, but it's gone out of play for a Manchester United corner. Just over 10 to go. 3-1 Brighton.
Yeah, good play by Reguilon. Get himself to the byline. The closer you get to byline, just got to make you stand the ball up. You said there, it looked like Martial was going to head it in from the 6-yard box, but Lewis Dunk making sure that he got in front.
Eriksen's corner into the near post. It's cleared away and out for a throw. We'll go for T News at St James's Park in just a moment with Steve Harmison, but Manchester United have got the ball deep inside the Brighton half of the field, and then Rashford goes down under minimal pressure from Veltman, and Brighton win it back. Maybe another counter from the Seagulls. No, it's one back on halfway. Gross has stayed down. Hannibal rides the challenge of Adingra, but then a foot in from João Pedro wins it back, and Brighton will bring the ball away. Let's get off to St James's Park and quickly get team news for Newcastle Brentford. Steve Harmison.
And Newcastle make 5 changes. Botman, Longstaff, Anderson, Wilson and Barnes come in for Target, Tonali, Joe Linton, Isaac and Almiron. Tomic Frank makes 1 change. Collins in, Shardy out, and what looks like a formation change for Brentford.
Thanks, Harmy. Here come Brighton, 3-1 up, and Kaoru Mitoma playing the ball with the inside of his boot into the area, looking for either Fati or Pedro. Didn't find either of them. And Onana bowls the ball out instantly to Lisandro Martinez. Lazy ball over halfway. That was easily cut out at the back for Brighton. And the Seagulls have it again. Garnacho's going to be on shortly for another throw of the dice from Erik ten Hag. But Brighton 3-1 up. 10 minutes to go on Talksport 2. There's going to be a double change as well. It looks like Palestri is going to be on as well for Manchester United. So he is going for it, Erik ten Hag. He has to. No other choice at 3-1 down. João Pedro finds Van Hekke, and Evan Ferguson's going to come on for Brighton Hove Albion for Adingra in just a moment as well. Reading equalise at home to Bolton. Charlie Savage, son of Robbie, equalises for Reading at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. Here at Old Trafford, Brighton in possession. Rashford trying to close down Van Hekke. Pascal Gross just calmly passes the ball along his own 18-yard line to Lewis Dunk. Dunk gets his head up, wanted an option ahead of him, couldn't find one, so he squares the ball right for Van Hekke. Ball in field to Gilmour, turns neatly and finds Fati. Fati with a pass out to the left-hand side for Mitoma. Mitoma's got Milner making a run ahead of him, but he'll just caress the ball in field, and the ball's back with Billy Gilmour once again.
Again, it was far too easy, Dancis, to play out from the back from Brighton's point of view, because it came over to Lewis Dunk, and he just fed it into Billy Gilmour. He had no pressure whatsoever. He fields it into Ansu Fati, and Ansu Fati plays it out to Mitoma on the left.
Gross for Brighton, who lead by 3-1 with 8 minutes to go on Talksport 2 on Game Day exclusive. Going to be a triple change for Manchester United, actually. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is getting ready as well. So Garnacho, Palestri and Wan-Bissaka all coming on for Manchester United shortly.
It's annoying when the manager does that. Can't he just do like 1 or 2 substitutions at a time?
Well, if he did it 1 at a time, it might lengthen the minimum stoppage time at the end of the game. Perry Groves alongside me, Ian Danta, here at Old Trafford. Wrexham 3, Grimsby 0. Elliot Lee gets another goal for Wrexham. That's his 7th of the season in League 2.
A lot of ex-players' sons scoring today. You said Danny Mills' son scored, didn't he?
Yep.
Robbie Savage's son scored. And now Rob Lee's son.
Yep. Manchester United in possession on halfway with Diogo Dalot. Back it goes to Fernandes. The 4 substitutes, 3 for Manchester United, 1 for Brighton, all waiting patiently just down beneath us on the touchline, but the ball stayed in play for quite a while, and here's Reguilon getting in behind down the left-hand side for Manchester United. Good ball into the box. Milner comes across from left back to head clear, and it's helped further clear by Veltman. Adingra trying to beat Rashford to the bounce of the ball, but Rashford got there first, and the ball still stays in play, and the substitutions still can't be made with 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's just Brighton have just retreated into their 4-4-2 formation, 2 banks of 4.
Well, here's Dalot. He fouled his man Mitoma as he got past him. The assistant gave the free kick, and it'll be Brighton to clear the ball downfield. But here come the changes for Manchester United. So coming on are Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Garnacho's coming on, and Facundo Pellistri, Scott McTominay, Sergio Reguilon and Lisandro Martinez are the 3 coming off. And I think of those 3 coming off, I think Reguilon deserves a lot of praise and a lot of credit for his performance today, even if Manchester United are losing by 3-1, Perry.
Yeah, he's been excellent down the left-hand side from the first minute. Although he's playing in a flat back 4, really he played as a wing back, whereas Manchester United's main threat down the left-hand side linked up well with Marcus Rashford, so he can count himself a bit unlucky to come off. Maybe it's because he hasn't had a lot of game time, you know, maybe his legs have gone a little bit.
So Alejandro Garnacho is going to be on as well. He likes a late goal. I think he scored a late goal, I remember, at Fulham. West Ham 1, Manchester City 3. Yeah, he scored again. Erling Braut Haaland, 7th of the season in the Premier League. And that's the point safe, you would say, for Manchester City. 3-1 up in East London. Brighton 3-1 up at Old Trafford. Substitutions made by both managers because Ferguson is on for Adingra for that one Brighton change. Had a sore knee. We wondered whether Evan Ferguson, the young Irish guy who scored a hat-trick against Newcastle last time out in the Premier League, might be out for a little while. But not so. He's out there, and he might get an early touch as João Pedro brings the ball down, finds Ferguson, tucks it back to halfway, and Veltman over the top down the right-hand side for João Pedro. Pedro plays the ball into the right-hand corner of the area where Ferguson collects it, gives it back to João Pedro. And Brighton keeping the ball in the Manchester United half of the field. Now they go back into their own half as Veltman fires it back to Van Hecke, and all the way back it goes to Jason Steele. Into the last 5 minutes of normal time. Steele fires it up to Ferguson, tries to turn Lindelof, who pushed him. Free kick to Brighton Hove Albion, and they lead by 3-1. And as it stands, they're going 3rd in the Premier League table, Brighton, ahead of their game against AEK Athens in the Europa League at the Amex on Thursday night.
But to be fair to Brighton, they've carried on where they left off against Newcastle, because they were outstanding, weren't they, down at the Amex against Newcastle with Evan Ferguson getting his hat-trick. And they've just carried it on, especially in possession, where all the Brighton players are very, very comfortable. From Man United's point of view, Garnacho's come out to this left-hand side, Pellistri on the right-hand side. Basically they've gone 4 up front with Martial and Rashford through the middle.
Dunk will work the ball back to goalkeeper Steele. Steele again, a short pass, finding Van Hecke, right-hand corner of his own penalty area. Throws the ball up to the halfway line, but it's well won back by Dalot, ahead of João Pedro. Fati goes in strongly to win the ball off Pellistri, and here come Brighton on the counter-attack. João Pedro, Fati's made a run through the middle, uses a dummy, it's fed to Ferguson, shoots straight at the legs of Onana, who blocks it away. Another chance for Brighton to extend their lead, as Evan Ferguson's the latest to have a go, but saved by Onana. 3-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I think João Pedro picked the wrong option there, because Ansu Fati made a brilliant run from this right-hand side centrally, and if João Pedro would have released him, it'd have been in 1v1 with Onana. In the end, he decides to come out to the right-hand side to Evan Ferguson and gets his shot away. Really strange save, Dan, wasn't it, from Onana there, because it's gone straight to him, and he's gone off balance a little bit. He's gone to his right-hand side.
Well, it was almost like a cricketer who's trying to stop
long
the ball
barrier
going through his legs on the boundary.
Yeah, exactly, long barrier. Just very, very strange technique.
Ferguson keeping the ball tight to the byline, but it's won back by Manchester United, but the clearance only finds Van Hecke, rolls it into the feet of Gross, gives it back to Van Hecke. Fati now, centre of the Manchester United half, plays a lovely ball to the right-hand corner of the area. João Pedro pulls it back. Fati goes for goal. That's a comfortable save for Onana, plunging to his left. Derby lead Portsmouth late on in League One of James Collins' penalty. And Birmingham City down to 10 at Watford. That's still 0-0, but Lee Buchanan gets a second yellow card. 2 lemons make a strawberry, and he's gone. 3-1 Brighton at Old Trafford. Don't forget the game day phone-in. Once everything's done here, we have Catalans against Leeds Rhinos in the Super League next up on Talksport 2. But Manchester United fans, if you want to react to what you've seen, and Brighton fans for that matter, as you head back down to Sussex, Jamie O'Hara and Gabby Agbondahor with the game day phone-in. 03717 223344. That gets underway at 5:30 once Adrian Durham's given you a full classified check, and you will hear from the headline makers here at Old Trafford in the tunnel with Mickey Gray in conversation with both managers during the course of either Adrian's classified check or the phone-in with Jamie and Gabby. That's over on Talksport, 03717 223344. Brighton win possession on the halfway line. Lewis Dunk, first loose pass of the afternoon from Dunk, but Veltman rescued it a little bit, but Manchester United win it back. Down the left-hand side, it's with Palestri looking to work it back, but the offside flag goes up against him. So it is going to be a free kick to Brighton Hove Albion, and we're in the last minute of normal time, plus whatever Jared Gillett wants to add on for injuries and substitutions. It is Manchester United 1, Brighton Hove Albion 3, and it's going to be a 4 straight Premier League win for Brighton against their illustrious opponents, it seems. QPR 1, Sunderland 3, Abdullah Bar with a late third for Sunderland. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 1, John Duran, the South American, equalises for Villa late on against Palace. Palestri runs into João Pedro, just calmly took the ball off his toe and works the ball downfield to Evan Ferguson. He lays it off to Pascal Gross. And you're absolutely right to mention winning his first cap for his country, Germany, at the age of 32 in the week, Pascal Gross. 6 minutes of added time is what we're into now on Talksport 2 at Old Trafford, and Fatty Winter a free kick for Brighton, and it will be a chance for them to get the ball downfield and out of trouble. Reading 2, Bolton 1. Caelan Vickers could have won it for Reading with a few minutes to play against Bolton. Have had a very good start to the season in League One under Ian Evatt. What a great start to the season for Brighton and Hove Albion. Only the one blot on their copybook, Perry, and that was the home defeat to West Ham, which not many would have seen coming on their Accas. Now, Garnacho gives the ball away, and down this right-hand side comes Evan Ferguson. Watford 1, Birmingham 0. Mileta Rajovic late on for the Hornets at Vicarage Road.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
You all right? Battle on, Trooper.
Ball's back with Lewis Dunk. Van Hecker at the edge of his own 18-yard box, rolls it back to Jason Steele. Again, a short pass for Lewis Dunk, despite the fact that Martial's 3 yards away from him. Steele plays it to the centre of the half. Ferguson dispossessed by Lindelof, rolls it up to the edge of the area. What a challenge from Lewis Dunk. Stepped in front of Martial and won the ball back, and here come Brighton on the counter. Ferguson rides the challenge of Hannibal, who brought him down, and that is the almost obligatory yellow card for Hannibal Mejbri. 3-1 Brighton.
Well, to be fair to Hannibal Mejbri, he's looked lively, Dan. Hasn't even come on. You can tell he's that sort of aggressive, niggly player where he goes and closes the ball down. Ferguson realises that he's going to be a bit late on him. Hannibal Mejbri just slides in, gives Jared Gillett, referee, no option but to give him the yellow card, and it just winds the clock down a little bit for Brighton.
Was that the Brighton fans just singing "We're just too good for you"? 3-1 Brighton lead in added time. Colchester 1, Mansfield 1. Mansfield equalised. Davis Keeler Dunn.
Offside.
No, apparently not. There's no VAR. No VAR. 1-1 at the job serve. 3-1 to Brighton at Old Trafford. And we're in the 3rd minute of 6 that have been added on. Through ball, finds Ansu Fati inside the area. Fati saved by Onana. Brilliant stop to deny Ansu Fati a goal on his Brighton debut. Just got fingertips to it, Onana. It stays 3-1 to Brighton as Gilmour played a sensational through ball, setting Fati away through the middle, but Onana denied him.
Dance has the spotter's badge from Billy Gilmour. Just slides it alongside Bruno Fernandes, and I think Ansu Fati actually just took too long, Dance. As you said there, it's Fernandes who got a little touch, and then Onana, it was a brilliant full-length save with his left hand, go over to Roberto De Zerbi, puts his head in his hands because he realises what a brilliant flip that could have been for Ansu Fati. He's looked lively since he came on, but he should be scoring.
Corner taken by Brighton. They're trying to keep ball down at the corner flag at the southeast corner, where the Brighton fans are loving every second. João Pedro urges them to make a bit more noise, and they duly respond. They've won a throw 10 yards from the corner flag.
We mentioned earlier Dance, about Roberto De Zerbi knowing the history of Brighton and knowing that they played at the Withdean, didn't they, when they dropped down the leagues. If you said to Brighton fans that you would be giving Manchester United the Olays with your team 3-1 up with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, you'd think, have a word. We've played 3.5 minutes of the minimum 6 that have been added on. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. There are a few more empty red seats around the stands as some of the home fans decide they've seen enough. They've given the ball up again, Manchester United. What a challenge. Bruno Fernandes, though, as Mitoma threatened to carve through once more. Hannibal guiding the ball down the right-hand side. Mitoma gets back with a challenge. It breaks down the right-hand side of the box for Palestri. Palestri drives for the byline, pulls it back behind Hannibal, who was well placed, but it just didn't find him. And instead, Brighton come away with the ball, and it's Billy Gilmour just touching the ball off to João Pedro. Gives it back to the Scot, Gilmour. And now down for James Milner, and Brighton will look to calm it down again. They're 3-1 up, remember.
Well, the game's got really stretched now. Manchester United have completely lost their shape. You've seen Bruno Fernandes end up in the centre-half position. Diogo Dalot sort of centre-half alongside Victor Lindelof.
And again, the Olays, which stop promptly as Ansu Fati can't get onto a long ball downfield. What did I say about Bradford and late goals? They've done it again. Bradford 1, Harrogate 1, Jamie Walker. Balls with Diogo Dalot. And now Palestri down the right-hand side of the area. Martial, who came on as a second-half substitute for Højlund. Substitution that was not greeted with great cheer from the home fans. Now Garnacho on this near side of the United left. Finds Dalot. Now Lindelof out to Bruno Fernandes, the United captain. Time running out for Manchester United. We're into the last minute of minimum stoppage time, and they've got to find 2 goals from somewhere just to earn a point. Hannibal, who got their 1 goal not long after Brighton went 3-0 up to give him a little bit of hope. Finds Bruno Fernandes, drills the ball into the area, nowhere near Rashford. Volleyed away for Brighton by Veltman. Watford 2, Birmingham 0. Ryan Andrews settles the game at Vicarage Road in the Championship. Here's Wan-Bissaka, who's seen very little of the ball since coming on as a Manchester United substitute. Hannibal guides the ball down to his captain Fernandes. Infield to Garnacho. Now here's Diogo Dalot popping up inside left, out to the left-hand side, and Rashford. Garnacho pulls it back to the edge of the 6-yard box. Martial can't get a piece of it, and it defensively deflects away for a throw-in, and the offside flag's going to go up against the Manchester United player anyway. So more frustration for the home fans, and there are plenty of empty red seats now, Perry Groves.
Yep. To be fair, Dance, there was a bit of an exodus, wasn't there, when João Pedro scored Brighton's 3rd goal to put them 3-0 up. And you can understand the frustration of the Manchester United fans, because apart from the first 25-30 minutes, then Brighton have been the better side. Brighton have been better in possession, better out of possession, more intense in their closing down, and Brighton have scored 3 absolutely fantastic team goals.
The full-time whistle goes, and the boos of those around Old Trafford, it's actually drowned out by the cheering from the Brighton fans to our right-hand side. And after a turbulent fortnight off the field for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United, it's got even worse with what's happened on the pitch this afternoon, as Brighton get their 4th successive win against Manchester United in the Premier League. They were the last team to win here in the top flight August last year. They've now repeated that by winning by 3 goals to 1. And after an opening quarter in which Manchester United showed Brighton a good deal of pressure and created opportunities, suddenly Danny Welbeck, the old boy of Old Trafford, put Brighton and Hove Albion ahead, and from that there was really no looking back for the Seagulls. It was 1-0 at half-time. They made it 2 and 3 in the second half. João Pedro with a 3rd late on. Pascal Gross scored again against Manchester United, as he'd done in the 2-1 win here last season. Hannibal got what proved to be only a consolation for Manchester United, but Brighton go 3rd in the Premier League with this win, Manchester United languishing in mid-table and plenty more questions to answer, Perry Groves.
Yeah, very much so. I said, Dance, first 25 minutes, Manchester United were the better side. Rashford looked really lively with Reguilon down that left-hand side, but Brighton Hove Albion are absolutely fantastic, Dance, in possession. We saw the coaching staff of Brighton all run onto the pitch. They all run up to Jason Steele, give him a massive hug, to Lewis Dunk as well, because that's where a lot of Brighton's passing plays start from the back. And every goal from Danny Welbeck's goal, which was brilliant, over from Adam Lallana, Pascal Gross, who got the ball inside from Tariq Lamptey, let the ball run across him and give a see you later to Martial. Then João Pedro opened his body up to make it 3-0. All of those 3 goals, Dance, were 10 passes and more, and that's because Manchester United are lazy out of possession. They don't go and close down.
The roar you can hear is the Brighton fans to our right, who are showing such huge appreciation for their players as they come and acclaim their supporters. Just down to our right-hand side, players, substitutes, ancillary staff, and of course Roberto De Zerbi in amongst it as well. He has worked the oracle yet again for Brighton and Hove Albion, this time against Manchester United. He said it was his dream to come and coach here. What a dream result for those heading back to Sussex tonight.
The thing is, Dance, as well, it turned into a nightmare, didn't it, for Eric Ten Hag and his Manchester United side. And the Brighton fans were singing "Can we play you every week?" Because obviously the last defeat Manchester United had here at Old Trafford was the first game of last season, even though that was under Graham Potter. So that's 31 games unbeaten Manchester United were before today. And Brighton and Hove Albion have come here and they've given Manchester United a lesson how to manipulate the ball. Every player knew their job. Out of possession, there's intensity from them. That doesn't happen from Manchester United. Obviously there was boos when Rasmus Højlund was given the hook, wasn't there, when Martial come on, because I think the Man United fans felt that they wanted to keep 2 centre forwards up front. But you have to say that it was a well-deserved 3-1 victory for Brighton and Hove Albion.
Perry, thank you once again, as always, for being with us this afternoon. What a result for Roberto De Zerbi and Brighton, but more questions to answer for Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United. It's finished. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3 here at Old Trafford. Coming next on Talksport.